Welcome back to WRPL. It's the podcast where we talk about all the things we are watching, reading, playing, and listening to. My name's Ben.
And I'm Steve.
Welcome back, Steve, to episode 83.
We're back, baby.
It's been since the 25th since we recorded, and right now it's the 16th, so good chunk of time, 3 weeks or so. Oh, thought I was going to burp, then it felt like it was going to be a throw up. All right.
Oh, if you threw up on the pod, that'd be just great for viewership. People love the sound of
I'd cut
eating.
it and I'd put it at the end. It'd be the tag, and people would just be like, "What was that?" So we have a massive episode.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to go fast through a lot of this.
Yep.
Like 3 minutes on some of the bullshit. I have things on here I wouldn't mind talking about.
We need like that sports talk thing where there's just a ding.
Yeah, ding. Move on to the next
topic.
Our main topics are Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1, and Black Mirror Season 6, which probably could be pretty quick.
Did I tell you?
You told me you watched it.
Darn. I was going to
that was going to be a surprise?
Yeah.
Nah, you told me.
I forgot I did.
You told me. But there was a ton of news. There was celebrities who died and everything while I was gone. But there's two pieces of news that I wanted to talk about up top.
Great.
First one, the Wolverine suit.
I mean, we all saw it coming.
It looks great. Oh, I mean, yeah, we saw it coming, but they nailed it.
Oh,
it looks spot on. I can't wait to see the mask, but holy shit, that looks good.
I mean, I think I would like to do it without the sleeves, but I'm fine.
Sure.
I'm fine with the sleeves.
Yeah.
Sleeves don't bother me.
Yeah, the shorter sleeves would look better probably, but I'm just tired of seeing everything before a fucking movie. They are so like, hey, Elektra's gonna be in this. Surprise me about it. Don't show me before we even see a trailer. It's so fucking annoying.
That's actually all your fault. I mean, that I'll give them like 5% of the fault.
Okay.
But it's your algorithm. You're looking at movie stuff pops up. It's gonna be there. I understand. Even if you're not necessarily looking all the time, it could still pop up.
But just because
you can avoid it if you wanted to.
I'm not getting off social media.
I know you're not, so then shut up.
But just because I Googled like X-Men back in the day doesn't mean I need every X-Men bit of news, and if I open up Google, I don't need them to throw it in my face. I'm not seeking that out there. It's forcing it it's forcing itself upon me. And
yeah, you would think that there could be some sort of spoiler filter.
Oh, there are. You could add tags to things. I don't know about Google, but I know for a lot of apps you can. Oh. And people put in their trigger warnings and stuff, so that filters that stuff. So people use it for the same thing. I don't want to see anything Marvel. I don't want to see anything the R word, something like that. So they not the same one you're probably thinking of. The worst R word. We'll let you decide. But so Wolverine looks great. Just sick of them showing us everything. And it got stalled, with the writer's strike and the actor's strike. Mm-hmm. We ain't getting shit for a while. We'll have some stuff for a bit. But end of 2024, going into 2025, it's going to be kind of dry.
We'll see what happens.
Right. Second thing. Did you watch the Wonka trailer?
I did.
Is this the worst movie of the year?
No.
No. You weren't immediately embarrassed? I know you don't like secondhand embarrassment. You weren't curling into a ball watching this? It is so embarrassing. I feel bad for everybody.
What about it is embarrassing?
It's so stupid looking. It's Cruella, but Paddington Bear. I know it's the director of Paddington Bear, but it's like the nicety of Paddington Bear, but it kind of looks like a Cruella thing of, I'm the up-and-comer, and I'm going to take on all these other chocolatiers, and I'm going to rise to the top. And he's just like smug, stupid face. And then Hugh Grant as an Oompa Loompa? Come on. You weren't shitting yourself in embarrassment with that? I'm going to say now, it's top 3 worst movies of the year. It definitely will make my list. I can almost guarantee it. Make me eat crow.
Well, I know you're not a big musical fan, and that's the only thing in the trailer that was like kind of surprised. Like, it's apparently a musical, but you don't show any musical numbers, which was an interesting choice. But whatever. No, I thought they looked kind of cute, and I think we know how it's going to end. We're going to
more or less.
Yeah,
we know where he ends up.
We know where he ends up.
We could have a whole Wonka trilogy leading up to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
But I mean, I think it looks fun-ish. We'll see. I'm not saying it's going to be good, but I think it doesn't look bad.
No, it looks like shit. And I saw people talking like, do you think Willy Wonka should be British? It's a British author. It's a British book. Shouldn't he be British?
The Chocolate Factory is in England.
Yeah. Why? I mean, I'm sure they'll answer that sort of thing in this. Of like, I'm a stowaway boy from America, and I got on a big old steamship and went to Europe to learn from the best chocolatiers. We can't let this American. We are France. We make chocolate. It's yeah. I'm embarrassed for everyone involved.
Yeah, to each his own. I'm not familiar enough with the original source material
Yeah.
and that whole thing. But I don't care that he's American.
Yeah, no, I don't care either.
I don't think it
It was just something
lessens the story in any way.
I never even thought about it, but it makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm sure there's an answer. Like, well, if you actually read the original book, it says why. You know, yeah. Whatever. Well, let's get started. Let's roll. Let's get my fingers going. I'm a little rusty.
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm going to say 17. Calling it right now.
Okay.
I know you said don't call it Steve. Sometimes I got to mix it up.
Yeah.
17. Here we go. 7.
Okay. Close.
I
it didn't hear you.
Yeah.
The phone cut out.
It heard. Yeah. It heard the 7.
Oh.
So here's the 1 to make it 7.
Oh, or the 10.
Or
yeah. If it's 10, that would be cool.
10.
8.
8.
Okay, we're a bit rusty, you know? You can't just jump onto the field and start playing football. You got to stretch and everything. And this is our stretching episode.
We pulled a hammy on this one.
Yeah. Okay, so lots of stuff. I actually didn't watch a lot of things while I was out of town because I was seeing friends and family, and I know. We'd put something on and then we would just end up talking through most of it. But there is a thing I watched most of, and I need to go back and kind of finish it because we did get a little chatty at the end. But I watched season 1 of Spaced, with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Have you seen Spaced?
Many years ago, I started. I think I watched the first 2 episodes because all I heard was, Space is one of the all-time classic shows. Yeah. It's so funny and was ahead of its time. And I'm like, oh, great. I love Simon Pegg. Hot Fuzz, great film. Let me check it out. And then I think I remember enjoying it, but going like, I don't see what the big deal is. Okay. And then didn't finish it. Okay.
I thought this movie took place in space. Isn't
it a show?
It is a show. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Did I say movie?
You said movie, yeah.
Show. I mean, just with the name and the cover is misleading. It kind of has that Indiana Jones type poster with painted faces with a star background. I just assumed this was a stoner comedy with Nick Frost and Simon Pegg. Thank you. Just being big doofuses in outer space and like, we're in the airlock, wacky adventures, and just be that. It has nothing to do with space. I'm like waiting through this whole first episode like, this is going to be a space travel exists, but it's the modern time, and he's going through this breakup, and he's going to head to space and deal with all of his relationship problems in space. No, not at all. Apparently, it's just like how they are spaced with each other, two down on their luck, out of relationship people who decide to be roommates, but they have to pretend to be in a relationship to get the room. That kind of falls apart pretty quickly.
Now, when you watched Dial of Destiny, were you disappointed that Indiana Jones wasn't in Indiana?
No, I've already, if it was the first movie, maybe. But okay. I've learned not to get my hopes up.
Just on this one. Okay, got it.
So, yeah, I was really taken aback. But it's a really fucking show. I really, really, really enjoyed it. And I know there's only 2 seasons. Typical British TV show. Just knock them out real quick and never, come back to it again. But I really fucking liked it. I thought it was very funny. And, Simon Pegg, I don't think has really made too many bad things. I haven't seen Run, Fat Boy, Run and some of the other stuff, but he's, pretty reliable. And Edgar Wright is always reliable. Yeah. But I was just very confused. Is that, misleading? Did they really have to call it Spaced? It could have been roomies or flatmates or anything, but Spaced sounds like what they say to, space pirates when they execute them. They don't walk the plank. We're going to space them. So, but I highly recommend. Short and sweet. Boom. Next, you.
All right. I listened. Well, no, I'll do a book first. I finished a book.
Mm.
It's book 2 in the Broken Earth trilogy. I talked about book 1 a
Oh
lot.
yeah, the book you didn't care about. You decided to keep going because the Earth fucks up and there's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
buildings and
So yeah,
witches get stoned instantly or something like that, right?
uh, so they're basically there's earthbenders essentially,
Mm.
and people don't like them because they're too powerful. But they're kind of necessary to sort of quell earthquakes and awful, sort of climate-based occurrences. But then there are a cataclysmic event called the fifth season that
Mm-hmm.
basically destroys the planet over a short amount of time, and humanity just has to try and survive
And what was
the
this book called again?
uh, it's the Broken Earth trilogy, but book 1 was the fifth season. The book 2, which I just finished, is called the Obelisk Gate. Uh, Now I liked the first book, but I just didn't love it. But it was solid. Book 2 is boring, and
Oh,
it's a real shame because uh, the YouTube channel that I watch that has sort of recommended all like a lot of the fantasy books that I've read recently, just been knocking them out of the park. Like
yeah.
loved Red Rising, loved Assassin's Apprentice, loved Kings of the Wild. Like just really enjoyed all the books I've been reading. This is the first time where I was like this,
Mm.
especially a popular trilogy as this because it's on a bunch of like best fantasy lists. It's like
Oh.
must reads,
Mm.
and book 2 is just like real boring. It's basically your main character underground in this sort of underground city, like working with people. It's like, oh, there's people like her, and there's stills, which are essentially normal human beings. It's like,
Mm.
look at us all living together, but tensions are kind of tight, but like nothing happens for like long stretches of time. It's just kind of all set up of like, oh, this is our mission
Wait
right
for
now.
the third book,
Yeah, just
baby.
like building to the third book. Now we see her daughter's perspective. Her stuff is interesting because she's getting trained. She's getting trained to develop her magical powers by the same man who sort of trained uh, the main character from the first book, but he's now different from events in the first book, and you kind of get hints of uh, like like long, like 10,000 years ago when these sort of obelisks were being built, and what their plan is. Like, do we open the obelisk gate and destroy the world, or keep or bring the moon back? That was the big twist. Is like the moon is the moon has been gone for so long, people don't even know what the fuck a moon is. But if they bring the moon
Okay.
back, it's supposed to end the seasons.
Well, yeah, I mean, without a moon, all the tides are probably all crazy
What
and.
that's I don't know the science of it, but that's what. So so the daughter stuff is like pretty interesting, but a big chunk of the book is just the main character underground hanging out being miserable. So I once the that book was over, I'm glad. Now I'm about 170 pages into book 3. Uh,
Oh.
and I'm liking it a little bit more, but I think I'm only liking it a little bit more because like I know it's going to be over soon, and so it's a real shame. So I'll give my final review of the whole trilogy once I finish book 3. But book 1, solid. Book 2, did not care for. Book 3 to come.
Okay. While I was on vacation, one movie I did watch most of, but I definitely want to go back to it because it was excellent, was the Between Two Ferns movie.
Oh yeah, I watched that.
I
I
had
mean,
never,
years ago, but
yeah, I had never seen it, and my buddy Raymond, he's big on just he'll put on anything. Oh, that's new. Boom, hit play. If it sucks, I'll turn it off. Whatever. He watches every little dumb like the Adam Devine and Pierce
the
Brosnan.
Outlaws.
Yeah, that. Some like Bridesmaids knockoff with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, and they go to like an Anna Gasteyer and a couple others, and they go to like some winery
Oh,
thing.
I did
It's
watch that
like
movie
wine
too.
trip. I don't know, girls
Yeah,
trip, something like that. So things I would instantly scroll past.
sure,
But we saw Between Two Ferns too, which I've always liked the shorts, but I
hmm
wouldn't call myself like a fan.
sure.
Like Zach Galifianakis, the awkwardness can be a little hard to watch.
hmm
Like Eric Andre, sometimes you don't know how much they know going into this thing, and some of the jokes are so fucking mean in those in those interviews that I almost feel like they're gonna throw hands. But this was just so damn mean and so funny. It's got Laura Lapkus in it, and pretty much like Judy from Righteous Gemstones is in it. Like, so many people that you know now that maybe you didn't necessarily know then. I wish I could go and remember this joke, because I don't remember any of them. I just remember laughing a lot.
Yeah, as a movie, I don't think it's very good, but as a comedy, I do remember laughing.
Yeah.
But like, this was, I think I watched it when it first came out. So, like you said, if you asked me what joke I liked, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
But I remember enjoying it.
It just kind of reminded me, like, what was it called? The Eric Andre movie, Bad Trip?
Yeah.
With all the, like, I had a bunch of funny.
Watch that, but yes.
Yeah. And so the movie kind of plays out the same way. They go to some location, they have a funny little sketch, then you see an interview in another location. So it's a very simple movie to make, but my God, is it funny. Excuse me. Next.
All right. I took a long trip recently, drove 12 hours. And so I was looking for something to listen to, and I was like, you know what? I've enjoyed a lot of those audio narrative, old-timey radio show kind of things that's on Spotify. So I found one called Blackout, starring Rami Malek. And the plot of this is there is a technological blackout in this small, I think, New Hampshire town. And Rami Malek and his family are trying to figure out, like, what's going on and how do we deal with just... all the power's out, there's no electricity, like generators can still run, but phones aren't working, all that stuff. And just apparently they're not sure exactly how far it goes, but like the Canadian border is closed. There's blackouts at least up to Texas.
Okay, so it's not just this one town.
It's not just the one town, yeah. They know it's big, but they don't know how big. They don't know if it's...
you don't have radios and stuff, so...
and it's just... he's a radio DJ, so he's kind of like... speaking to the town, anyone who can like listen to the radio, and just trying to like ease tensions and trying to figure things out, and like, just be the kind of like the voice of the town. But then obviously when sort of apocalyptic things happen, the town kind of goes crazy and tribalism breaks out, and the woman who owns like the general store, she becomes sort of like judge, jury, and executioner of the town, and it's like, I'm taking over. And then there's a B plot with Rami Malek's son where him and his friends were out camping when the blackout happened, so they didn't know what went down, but they run into this creepy old man in the woods who like lives there, and they stay with him. He's like, oh, you don't know about this? Well, it's clearly from the government, blah, 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 blah. And but whatever. And so all that is like super interesting, and by the end of season 1, I'm going to just spoil that you don't find out what caused it yet, but it does leave it open for questions. And I think Rami Malek is actually really good. I think the audio design is really good. My problem with season 1 is certain actors I think are trying to do New England accents, and they come on a little strong, or like this doesn't. I'm not from New England. I don't know if these actors, some of them are, and they're doing it 100% correct, but some of them just sound like they're putting on a voice, and it's really weird, because the main family doesn't have any sort of accent. It's just Rami Malek and whatever actors. But season 1's pretty well done. I enjoyed it. And then season 2 is a friend of that family they run into in episode 1, and it's their story in like a major city. And I was like, oh, that's fun. Here's what happens in a small town. Here's what happens in a city. And season 2, I stopped listening to. Season 2 is fucking terrible.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know what happened or why they went this way, but basically it's just like, you get little couple minutes here and there with the main family from season 1, but season 2 is this new family, and they're all just horrible people. I don't care about any of them. Like the mom, it's that thing where they're trying to, it feels like they're just making drama for this. They're not making smart choices for the sake of drama. It'll be like the daughter is the precocious, like, getting in trouble teen, and they pair her up with this like nice boy who he really likes her, but she kind of treats him like shit because like, oh yeah, I bet you wouldn't even kiss me or whatever because you're such a pussy or whatever. And then, so she's kind of annoying and always getting them into trouble. And then the mom, it'll be like she her father's like, hey, we're gonna go talk to this guy, he makes drugs, let me do the talking. She's like, okay, cool, because someone's sick and they need medicine. So they go, and he's like, hey man, we need drugs. And he's like, okay, I'll make them for you. And it's like, listen here, asshole, you're gonna make drugs for my daughter because she needs a blah blah blah. And it's like, well, no, I'm not gonna do that. Fuck, it's like, if you just shut up like your dad said. It was just constantly like that kind of stuff, and like, they're all just like yelling at each other. It's just so annoying. Like it's not fun to listen to. So anyway.
Yeah, it seems very sitcom-y, where it's just like, well, I gotta lie about this one thing, and I'll get away with it. And then the lie gets bigger and stupider, and you get in trouble. And then you end up having to tell the truth anyways. It's that same sort of frustrating, like, if you just act like a normal fucking human being and not a character, this would be a lot better.
It was just like, here's a family, like, even when someone, like, Rami Malek was kind of the one who was always doing a thing, and, like, the wife was, you're running off to the DJ station. You need to be here with your family. Like, this is going on. We need you here. Like, all that works. Where this is, everyone is just constantly undermining each other to the point where it's just like season 1 was a loving family. Season 2 is a family that doesn't like each other.
And maybe that's the point.
And it's great if that's what you're trying to do, but you need to make me care about these characters. And because they're all kind of dickheads, I don't care about them, and I don't want to. It'd be different, I think, maybe if there was a visual aspect to it.
Sure.
But I'm just listening to their voices.
You could totally keep watching them. That's totally fine. Yeah, you could be a terrible character, but...
I don't know. I just couldn't fall in love with these characters, and I got halfway through the season. Each season, I think, is 8 episodes.
Okay.
In various times, from like 22 minutes, I think, to like 45 or something like that. But yeah, I just couldn't get through season 2. And so I don't know if any questions are really answered about, like, what caused this.
You haven't Googled it or anything to see?
No, there's hints about, like, there might be this organization that they're all talking in code or whatever, but they might have something to do with it, or they know something about it, but you never find out what that is. Or she runs into a kid who's just like, who dies right before, or like says something really cryptic right before the blackout happens. Like, oh, this kid, he must know something, but then he's dead, so you don't. So it's just all like
mystery on mystery.
It's. Do you remember the show Jericho?
Yeah.
It's how I imagine if we were living around that time.
Okay.
This would be a show that would come out around that time, like that kind of
thing. Or
like
Falling Skies.
Yeah, like Lost comes out. Here's a high concept idea, and just like kind of a poorly written CPS dialogue kind of show.
Yeah.
Where like the first season might be kind of good, but then season 2 just instantly tanks.
Hey, the fans requested it. The fans got Jericho back on the air. It got canceled.
So that's the vibe, and it's just it bummed me out because I was really into season 1 and I wanted to see where it went, but then you just kind of really cut out the family you already grew accustomed to from season 1, and now it's just this other family. And so I don't know what happens with that family at the end of season 2.
Well,
and I looked it up, and it apparently got renewed for season 3, but that was a couple years ago, and season 3 hasn't come out yet.
Okay.
So I don't know what they're doing, or if it's just done because everyone hated season 2. I don't know.
But you think, like, I mean, I would think a lot of studios would want to be doing more of this type of media, things where you can just get one person in a booth. You don't need sets. You don't need hair and makeup. And put some money into these kind of audio productions. Like, go back in the past, like, when it was just the 30s and everybody gathered around the old radio to listen to the Superman hour and, and all the sound effects that people had to do in studio. I mean, obviously it'd be nicer than that, but you would think, especially like during COVID, like, you could have had so many people just recording shit in their house, which they were doing anyways for commercials and other things. I'm surprised this sort of medium hasn't gotten bigger, but maybe when you have garbage like this, there's a reason for it.
Well, if the writer's strike and the actor's strike keeps going on, you and I, we're not union, baby. We can make whatever.
We're scabs.
This is...
I have never been paid by Hollywood in any way, shape, or form.
So this is our chance to put on our own show on Spotify.
And then have everybody who's established think we're terrible people because we're siding with the big corporations, which... I don't. I'm all with the writers and the actors.
You don't want me to work? Just sign me up for the union, baby. I'll join you. And,
yeah,
we're all working together here.
Oh yeah. So my mom introduced me to a show. I told you she was into like Korean dramas now, but when I was there, they didn't have their Netflix. So thank God she didn't force me to watch some terrible Korean drama. She did force me to watch a British show. Called Outlander. Have you heard of Outlander?
I am familiar with Outlander.
You know the plot?
Yeah.
Well, for the listeners, it's post-World War II. There's a nurse. She's with her husband, and they're investigating his heritage. They are in Scotland. He is English, and his great-great-grandfather was this big hoity-toity captain or something or other. So they're doing the research, And she goes to a bunch of rocks that are supposed to be like, well, this is where people see witches or fairies and yada yada. And she puts her hands on the stone and goes back in time 200 years. Now she's in the war that her husband's great great grandfather was in. And he's the bad guy. And she's falling in love with the enemy, the Scots. Uh-oh. So she's back in time 200 years and gets wrapped up with, the Scottish people, and she starts seeing things from their perspective. Oh, maybe the English were the bad guys, and we took the war to their lands, and we were the invading force, and maybe they're not all bad. And because she was a nurse, she's able to like do that sort of role. And of course, there's priests who want to like burn her at the stake because, well, this kid's possessed by a demon. There's nothing medical you could do. God can fix it, but she fixes it, and oh, you're making God look bad, and now you're an enemy. And so she's really into it, and she showed me one episode. I thought that was going to be the end of it. I got through 9.
You got through 9 episodes?
9 episodes.
Wow.
There was a day that I think we watched 5 straight. Like,
Dang.
there were some days of just, it was post this party, pre this other party. We have some downtime. Cool. Dad's taking a nap. My sister's doing her own thing. It's Ben and Mom watching Outlander. So it's 10 episodes in the first season. I know she really wanted to get that first season done, but we didn't quite get there. We ran out of time. Of course, we ended on 9, which was the like super horny episode where they fuck 3 times in 3 different scenes in pretty graphic detail of like, ew, why are you kissing me there? I don't know what accent that was. It definitely wasn't Scottish, but just a lot of like, oh, I've only ever done it from behind because that's how the animals do it, and I'm a virgin. Yeah, she has to marry one of the dudes because otherwise she's going to be taken away. But yeah. It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
But actually, it's not a terrible show.
Yeah.
It's relatively entertaining. It is definitely a mom show. Moms want to see a little titillation, maybe a little violence, but it's historical and it's sexy and there's hunky dudes. So I get it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just telling her like, okay, well, this is what's going to happen. She's either, she's going to go back to her own time and then shake her hand in the air like, it was at a key moment of my story and now I got to get back, and then won't be able to. Or she does something in the past that in the future herself, like, oh, she was the one that pioneered this medical thing that she learned in school, those time loop sort of things. And my mom just has this big old smile on her face like, I'll never tell. Like, Mom, I watch a ton of this shit. I know exactly how this is going to play out. And I asked her, like, oh, well, what season is it on? Oh, season 8 is about to start? I'm like, 8? How much story is there in a woman trapped 200 years in the past? It's like, she gets to the rocks and goes home. Is she going to be, like, hopping back and forth between times? And I don't know how you can expand this, but there must be story there.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I think the books are still coming out, too. I think there's 10 books right
Holy
now.
moly.
I think they're going to do 12 or something. I'm not sure.
Wow.
Don't quote me on that, but there's a bunch of these books, yeah.
Wow, this is like Old Lady One Piece or something.
I love that description. That's good. That's great.
So yeah, she's asking like, you gonna finish it? I'm like, hell yeah, Mom, I'm gonna... No. I wouldn't mind finishing season 1.
I was going to say, just watch one more episode.
Just one more. It is a Starz show, but I guess the first 5 seasons are on Netflix, so I can do that. And then I'm just going to, like, Wikipedia this shit, learn all this stuff, so when my mom calls and be like, oh, yeah, I'm on. I can flip. Come on, for the joke, stupid book.
She's listening to the podcast right now with the tear rolling down her eye.
I don't think
my baby boy doesn't love me.
I don't think she even knows what the word podcast means.
Do you?
It is... No. I was hoping you would know. Everybody calls it a podcast. There's no pod here. It's like a sleeping pod, a pea pod. I don't know what it is. And cast is like fishing or like the cast of a play. Pea pod play. I don't know. I don't get it. So yeah, I'm just going to Wikipedia things and just go like, oh, I can't believe so-and-so killed yada yada. And his dick got cut off by that boar,
What?
There was a boar attack at one point, and like had to let someone die. But yeah, Outlander.
All right.
For your moms and aunts. Do they like Jane Eyre and maybe a sexy butt here and there?
That sounds like a Saturday Night Live sketch where it's just like Outlander for moms and aunts.
Yep.
All right, so real quick, Platonic on Apple.
Oh, you finished it.
Seth Rogen, Rose Byrne. That ended. It was
Just a one season?
Just the one season. I don't know if they're doing season 2, but it feels like this was designed to be one and done.
Mm-hmm.
Really funny show, really sweet and enjoyable. Goes to show, how you can have a best friend. It's a man and woman. There's never any
chemistry. Yeah, I mean, not chemistry,
they
but
have tons of chemistry, but no sexual chemistry.
No will they, won't they, sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, the show is called Platonic.
Yeah.
If they hooked up, that's the biggest lie.
Now, there is stuff where the husband may be kind of jealous because, is something going on? Like, I never would believe that. But at the same time, like, they are spending a lot of time together.
Mm-hmm.
But it's never about
the hand jobs.
Are they going to hook up or anything?
Yeah.
But are these two people good for each other? Because they bring out the best in each other, but they also bring out the worst in each other. And it's just a fun, sweet relationship. And every episode makes me laugh. And I just like these two together, and I'll see them do a bunch of different movies.
What was the Seth Rogen, Charlize Theron movie where they... it's got a weird title that... I always want to call it Bombshell. I know that's not it.
I watched it too.
Yeah.
I
love that movie.
Yeah.
It was on when I came back and I just needed something. And God, this movie is so funny. And I don't think ever Charlize Theron has been more beautiful than in that movie. She's stunning.
Well, she's always stunning, but I'd say the most beautiful she's ever been was in Arrested Development. But other than that...
Oof, God.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mr. F. All right. So, Platonic, if you like Seth Rogen type humor and just sort of witty stuff, Platonic's great. 10 episodes, short watch. All right. After a many months long break, I went back and finished the last 5 episodes of Search Party.
Oh, good.
Search Party is done. Search Party seasons 1 through 3, fantastic. Loved them. Loved how they sort of... but it was all like sort of one overall story, basically over 3 seasons. And then season 4 gets weird. And then... but season 4 was just, I think, too dark in terms of Dory's story. There was, like, the part that was funny was her abductor. Sorry for spoilers of Search Party. But it was just...
Jeff Goldblum?
No. In season 4.
Oh, season 4. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. This is 5.
So season 3, you have all the Drew, Elliot, and Portia stuff. They're all good. They're great. But then all Dory stuff was like a real bummer. And so because that was so much of a big plot point of the show, like season 4 is like kind of a drag.
Yeah.
Season 5 loses a lot of the funny because it's just on this weird cult kind of storyline. And then the last 3 episodes goes way beyond what I thought it was going to do. I was like, how did the show about where the missing girl go become this? And I thought I was going to hate season 5 because, like I said, we stopped months ago and just never went back to it because we're like, we need a break from the show. Like, we're not having fun. And then, I don't know if it was the break that did it, but I really enjoyed kind of like the last 5 episodes. And where it ended, I thought was like unexpected, but kind of fit. And
if anyone was going to like bring damnation to the world on a big scale, it would eventually be.
Now, would I recommend the show? Not really. I'd say watch seasons 1 through 3 and then try 4. But if you're not feeling 4, just stop.
That makes sense.
That would be my recommendation. But I'm gonna miss this cast. Even in season, I think John Ely as Elliot is one of the best comedic characters on television that no one talks about.
No.
His Dr. Carpet in season 5 is so funny. And he's just so... My favorite joke of season 5 is... spoilers if you care about Search Party, but he finds out that Drew and Portia are both having sex with Dory, and he's just like, am I fucking ugly? Like, why is she not having sex with me?
Yeah.
And then just him like hitting on her, even though he's 100% gay.
Yep.
He's like, no, he's so insecure that I need to have sex with this woman just so I can
be part of the group.
Be part of the group.
Yep.
And then they do.
Isn't it like a matter of fact thing? He's just like, oh, you want to have sex? Okay, I'll have sex with you.
She's just like, if that's how you want to express your love, I guess I'll. Okay,
yeah, that's right.
You can, and it's just kind of like this awkward, like beginning kissing part. Just that whole group. I love them. I I would happily see all these actors and other stuff
Hmm.
because they all have their seasons to shine. But Elliot's great throughout all of it.
Hmm.
So I'm glad I finished it, but it's not a show I think I'll go back to.
Okay.
Third show, season 3 of the other two came out. That show is over. You didn't know it came back?
I knew. No, I think I knew, and I just totally forgot.
Yeah. Well, you have the other two to watch.
Uh
Other two, season 3. I won't spoil anything for you because I know you want to watch it.
huh.
Season 3 is really funny. It's definitely different from seasons 1 and 2
Okay.
because it's a lot of sort of kind of parody episodes.
Huh.
They'll do like what's that, a Pleasantville kind of episode.
Okay.
They'll do um whatever.
Is it like different time periods? Like this is a Brady Bunch episode, or
No, I mean it all flows together. It's just how they sort of satire Hollywood and movie making and fame and all that
okay.
kind of stuff. I won't really get into it, but it's just it seems like there's a bunch of parody kind of stuff, but it's not like it's today is this episode. It's
Huh.
just a small factor in that
Okay.
episode,
Okay.
if that makes any sense.
Sure.
Um,
And no season 4.
and yeah, I hear the writer or the creators of it aren't great people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we'll talk
For
about
another
it
time.
for another
All right.
time. But is the other two season 3 good? So funny.
Okay.
I'm gonna miss a show. I wish there was gonna be more seasons of it, but it does end satisfyingly.
Okay.
I'd say I think they knew we might not come back, but they end it in a way that was like, okay, this is solid, and yeah, just great stuff. We'll talk about it when you finish it,
Okay.
but check it out. I think you'll like it.
It's not the two leads. They didn't create it, did they?
No,
Okay. Thank God. Is
Sarah
it?
Schneider and her
Oh,
writing partner apparently
yeah, that's
aren't great.
right.
Yeah.
Really? Just
From what I read online, because after I finished season 3, I was like, well, let me see if there's going to be season 4 or whatever news, and it was just like, uh, apparently there was multiple harassment complaints about both of them from the writers' room. I guess like they're both like I think Chris Kelly is his name. He's super mean to his writing staff, and Sarah Schneider kind of just like enables him.
wow.
Is what I kind of got from it,
That's a shame.
and so yeah, it was
Hmm.
just like if I think even if the show was doing well, they wouldn't come back. But
Okay.
they're just like, we ended the show on our terms or whatever. So I think like yeah.
Oh, that's a shame because we loved her in
Yeah.
College Humor, and short.
And I mean this is just speculation.
Sure.
None of it could be
I
true.
love seeing it, Steve. I love seeing you dish out the gossip of Hollywood. You always chide me on it. So
I'm just letting you know because I know you're gonna be like all about it. I don't care about this shit. But oh, the last thing I'll say about the other two is oh god, what's the brother's name? No, I'm spacing on it.
oh God, Chase Dreams.
Well, there's Chase. I mean, the
oh,
main kid.
the other brother, gay brother.
Well, Game Brother, he is the worst this season.
Really?
I don't remember if he was as annoying in season 1 or 2,
2, he gets a little annoying.
but season 3, he's all like just trying to soak up as much fame as possible
Okay.
and like pushing people, not really pushing people away, but seeing other people's success makes him insecure. So he's got to try and like one up them and just doing all this absurd stuff to try and make himself seem so important. And it's all so cringy. I hated him this season. Like his stuff is super, super funny, but God, he's the worst. And that's it.
All right. I watched the latest DC animated Batman movie called Batman: The Doom That Came to Gotham.
I've seen that poster a bunch on HBO.
I don't know what is up with this last couple of WB animated DC things. They've been really bad. This sucked. This is not as bad as the Supergirl Legend of Tomorrow or something. That one was real bad, real boring. This one, it's a, Depression era Batman. So you get unique takes on every. Like I love his bat suit. It's it's more modern than Gotham by Gaslight, but not anything more modern than that. You get to see really interesting takes on Two-Face and Poison Ivy and Killer Croc and Penguin. But it's just kind of like there's a Cthulhu monster, and Ra's al Ghul and Talia al Ghul want to raise it to destroy Gotham, and it's not that interesting. There's some more, I don't want to call it brutal, but some messed up things happen. But all in all, it's a very boring story, and they're looking cheaper. They're just maybe are they running out of ideas and they're finding it. They've all done all the big hits, so let's go back and find the weird Cthulhu monster story and see how we can adapt it, because it is based off an actual comic. But I don't know, I'm losing faith in these things.
I'm interested to know what the market value of these movies are. Like, is it just sort of keep the IP in the ether? Because it's like, you're not making toys from these movies that you're making.
I mean, they sometimes do, but usually it's not everything in that line will be that one movie. It'll be like, you can get a Batman Gotham by Gaslight, but it's in a series with fucking Stargirl and Zatanna or something.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, it's not, they're too adult. Usually, some of them are too adult to put on, Cartoon Network for the kids. Mm-hmm. So a lot of them are on HBO. I mean, are people going to HBO to really stream these movies?
That's how I watch them.
Are they for DVD sales? Like, obviously people are watching them. Yeah. But I just mean, like...
But they go on DVD. I mean, they go on streaming so quickly after being on DVD. It's like 2 months and it's on HBO.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to what the profit is on these things, or why they keep cranking these out where Marvel doesn't have to. I mean, obviously Marvel's, like, huge because they got all the movies and stuff, but it's just... DC seems to really care about these animated films, but also don't make them all that good. Yeah,
there's been a decline in quality, and I think it's because for so many years, Marvel couldn't hack it in the animation world. DC was where it's at. And since DC can't hack it in the movie world, it's all they got. So let's just keep cranking them out. But I also watched, there's a new Superman show on HBO called My Adventures with Superman.
Yeah.
It's definitely a nicer, friendlier, sillier, more anime-inspired TV show. So it's good for little kids, but it's not too childish, but it's not super violent either. It's just a nice show. It's just nice Superman and a go-getter Lois Lane and a spastic Jimmy. It's nice.
Nice.
That's it. Yeah, that's all I got for that one.
All right. So I have one last show, and then we can get into our 3 main topics.
Woo. We're doing okay.
We're doing okay?
Okay. Not great, but okay.
Well, I won't talk about it very long. I just want to say I watched season 2 of The Bear.
Okay.
Yeah, season 1 came out of nowhere. I really enjoyed it. They did some really cool stuff. It was a show where people were constantly yelling at each other, which isn't always the most fun thing to watch, but... Man, there was something in the sauce in season 1. I only started watching because I heard so much good stuff about it, and season 1 is really good. That being said, season 2 of The Bear, and I say this with full sincerity, might be one of the best seasons of television ever produced on TV.
Really?
Season 2 is phenomenally good.
Wow.
Because season 1 was kind of all the main character show, and you get like little hints of like this restaurant, and it's kind of run down and kind of shitty, and can this chef who has like alcohol problems or mental problems turn this rinky-dink place into like a respectable shop. And then season 2 is you really branch out and see all the other characters, and every character gets to shine. And there's 3 episodes this season that are probably going to be on a bunch of people's 3 best of the 10 best episodes of the year. 3 of them will be from the show.
Damn.
And they just have their own. So there's like 2 single character focused episodes and 1 sort of backstory, which is just a major hit list of celebrities coming in to just like kind of cameo in this one episode.
Right.
And it's going to be the episode everyone talks about. I love the episode after it a little bit more, but man, season 2 of The Bear is perfect television. There's moments that like hit me in the feels. There's moments that made it's a very funny show. It's labeled as a comedy. It's a drama that's funny.
Yeah.
Which I hate when they do that shit. But yeah, season 2, it acted well, directed well, funny, just written. One of the best written shows on television. I fucking love The Bear. highly recommend The Bear to everyone if you haven't seen it. If you like season one, you should love season two because it really is a turnaround for a bunch of characters, and it's perfect. I would say it's not going to be that show that I think people say is up there with The Wire or
Mm-hmm.
Sopranos or Game of Thrones or whatever. But season two of The Bear deserves to be mentioned in those shows and its execution of how you make a good show. And it's a show about a restaurant. There's not high stakes.
And
It's
it's just
not
like a sandwich restaurant, right?
well.
It's not fine dining.
Season one, I don't want to get into it, but you'll see if you'd watch it. But yeah, it's a show. It's not about crime. It's not about there's not
Murders.
murders or big. I mean, there's deaths, but not in the way you may be
Okay.
thinking.
Okay.
But yeah, it's phenomenal across the board. I have zero complaints.
Wow.
Other than sometimes it's kind of hard to watch because it's like these people who you do end up liking, and they're just like yelling at each other, and like being in that work environment would drive a lot of people crazy because it's just chefs like I need this, fuck what's wrong, and they're just yelling over each other. So that part I can see being grating, but god damn, it's good. It's so fucking good.
That's really annoying because I was hoping I could write this show off. I keep hearing about it, but there's a lot of good TV out there, and I just wasn't going to bother. And now.
But I say these things to you, and all the things I love, you're like, it's fun.
Well, we share commonalities on a lot of stuff.
We do.
So, chuck it on the pile. I'll get to it. Well, I'm not going to talk about it, but I did finish Silo Season 1, and I've started reading the book. Silo's great. If you still have Apple, please watch Silo. I want to talk to you about it.
Is it just the one book, or is it a series?
No, there's 3 books.
Oh, okay.
But my roommate, she got the book, the physical copy, so she's blowing through it. She was at the halfway point, and that was the end of Season 1 for Book 1.
Oh.
So
this could be a 6 kind of season show?
Could be, because I guess it's
books?
like first book is the first story, second book is the prequel story. It talks all about the uprising that nobody knows anything about, and then the third book is the end, as far as I know. Obviously, I don't know much, but it's great. I love it, and it's an easy watch, and like it's definitely one. By the time you're done with an episode, you're like, "What's next? What's next?" You want to binge this show. I was dying week to week waiting for it. Yeah, it was right before my trip. Midnight hit, turned it on, Apple Plus, watched it. As soon as it was done, had to wake up my roommate, go to the airport. I was like, I'm going to finish this season before I go on vacation. But please watch it if you guys need another drama. I know you're watching C. Did you drop off on that, or did you finish C?
We took a break from C, but now we have nothing I think we're currently watching, so I think we're going to go back to C.
Nah. Nobody cares about C. Watch Silo. Watch Silo. Oh, but speaking of another Apple Plus, the After Party Season 2. Have you seen a commercial for that?
Yeah, I've seen the trailer.
Yeah. Just great. Another murder, same cops, more celebrities, and Kevin Richardson again.
Yep.
So let's... All right. There was things I saw bits of.
Who cares? But
it doesn't matter. I actually had a lot more YouTube to catch up on than TV. Lots. This past 2 weeks, like Nando has like been releasing stuff because he has a second channel. I don't know if you follow that one. It's called like, it's the Nando Cut.
I know of the Nando Cut, but I don't follow it.
But it was just like, here's a new episode of Secret Invasion. I got things to talk about. Here's My Adventures of Superman. I got things to talk about. There's casting for Superman. Got to talk about it. So I was just like, when I got home, I had like 6 videos of his to watch in a row. I almost got sick of Nando, which if he's listening, I know he's not, but I'm sorry that I said that.
All right, let's talk
about main stuff.
Black Mirror.
Black Mirror, season 6. 6? Right?
6.
6. Yeah. I mentioned it before, but I'm sure nobody remembers my opinions on it, so you get to hear them all again.
Woo!
I love this season. How do you think the season stacked up compared to previous ones?
I love the season too. I went back and on IMDb and looked at the previous season, and I forgot, pretty much every season is 3 episodes.
Isn't like 3 is the first one, then I think there's 4 or 5 for the second one, and then 3 I think is also 4. 5 is the longest one, I think. I think there was like 8 or 9, and then I know season 5 was only 3, Trust me, man.
Well, the point is, multiple seasons are just 3 episodes.
They're short.
So I feel like, oh, well, this season, a lot of people can go, this season's so good because there's no bad episodes. But it's like, but there's only 3. They really focus on those 3. Anyway, whatever.
But we got 5 episodes, right? This season?
We got 5 episodes this
Okay.
season. Yeah. And I liked all of them.
Yeah.
The first episode, Jonah's awful, fun concept, but we've seen the simulation thing a bunch of times.
Sure.
And it's a simulation, but it's very cleverly done.
It's the most Black Mirror
It's
of all
the most Black Mirror of all of them, yeah. So, and I love Annie Murphy.
Yeah.
And I just had a lot of fun with it. I like Selma Hayek playing herself.
Shitting in a church.
Yeah. And it's scary because, you know, the writer strike and actors strike is going on right now, and this is what they're like fighting against.
Yeah,
and it's just,
and it's on Netflix. It's
a
Netflix exclusive. They have their own streaming channel within the show. What was it called, like Brickleberry or something?
It's called a Streamberry.
Streamberry.
Yeah,
that kind of mocks everything Netflix does, and Netflix is just like, we don't care. Go ahead, make fun of us. Whatever. We're getting your money. We're getting your likeness.
Then we have episode 2, Lock Henry. Much simpler, not so much super technology, but there is a video element to it.
But this, you could have taken this out and added some voiceover, and this could have been an Unsolved Mysteries or any of those types of true crime shows.
Yeah.
And obvious. Like, you knew the mom was up to something.
Yeah. But I like this. It was simple. I thought it was shot really well. I always like seeing sort of the countryside and, you know, doing these smaller stories.
It's one of the...
And I thought this like description of what was going on, and it's like that was all very scary because this Black Mirror episodes tend to go high concept, where this was just like, oh no, this could really happen, and probably has happened in a sense.
It made me feel sad that she'd like, if she would have just stopped running away from the mom, she would have gotten away with everything. The mom wasn't going to chase her that far, and she had to smash her stupid face in.
Yeah. I can't imagine being that kid. And, like, I got famous for uncovering the truth behind this case when I'm the son of the people who did it. And everyone's like, oh man, your show's so great. Congratulations. This is amazing. It's like, yeah, my girlfriend's dead. My parents are dead. Oh, not only are my parents dead, but they're also like psycho
rapists.
rape murderers. Then we have episode 3, Beyond the Sea.
Is this one your favorite?
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it is. But, my complaint with this one is that I needed to be like 15 minutes longer.
Okay, even though it's like pretty long, you need a little more info. Now,
I'm saying I want it to be longer because of all the episodes this season, this is the one where like, oh no, this is the movie that you like cut a bunch out to fit into a Black Mirror episode. Okay.
So do you want more at the end to say what happens, or just 15 minutes of more information?
I just wanted more character building with and interaction with. Because it just kind of felt like the Josh Hartnett, Kate Mara relationship kind of happened very quickly, where you never really got the sense of why they would dig each other so much.
It was different. You know, you saw Aaron Paul be shitty to the kid and stuff, and he brought a little passion. You know, he was an artist.
But I think if you just added an extra scene of them sort of bantering, and it was just kind of, she saw that he could paint, and he just turned on music and they danced one time, and it was instantly like he groped a feel. Where it's just like there should have been scenes where they talked and it's like, oh, you did this. Well, oh, you like that book? I like that book. Or it's like, oh, that reminds me of the time of this. And they have a connection here, and like you build the relationship, and you see the cookie crumbs going like, okay, I can see that she's going to do this. And I like that she didn't, because like you're just, this might be intriguing to me, but it's under the guise of my husband's face. Like, that's the man I love, regardless of his faults or whatever. Yeah. So I really enjoyed this one. Definitely didn't see them being robots in the beginning.
Sure, yeah. Because it's so kind of confusing of them going, you're down here and up there right now. And like, do you have a dick? And like, what are they talking about?
And I always enjoy sci-fi stuff where it takes place in the past, but they have technologies we don't have now. I always enjoy that kind of thing. And the story also spoke to me because I have a dream of like living on a farm with my wife and my son, but obviously don't want what happens at the end of this to happen.
Well, don't let Josh Hartnett use your body, okay?
I wouldn't let Josh Hartnett anywhere near my family.
Even if it looks like me, Josh Hartnett's coming through.
Yeah. But let me just say, I'm so happy to see Josh Hartnett. Where the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
I love Josh Hartnett. He needs to be in more stuff.
Last thing I remember him was in Sin City 2.
He was in Sin City 2.
Wasn't he also in 2? Doesn't he start it just like the first one?
Oh, I mean, I'm sure he does. I just don't remember.
Maybe it's been Sin City 1.
But anyway, yeah, I feel like this. I just wish it was a little bit longer just to develop more. I wanted to spend more time with the family. I felt like the kid was just kind of there.
Yeah.
It always felt like he was going to be the one to leak to the dad that mom's doing something.
Sure.
But it just never, the son relationship never seemed to blossom into anything.
There's a lot of ways that could have ended up. You know, it could have been, I love both of you, and since it's the same body, it doesn't matter. You can share me. Or
I thought it was going to be the thing where they go up, they're both up in space. One kills each other, and then one of them kills the other one, but you don't know who comes back. And that's kind of how it ends. It's like, did Aaron Paul learn to be more romantic, or is Josh Hartnett in there? Whatever.
Just pretending. Yeah,
but the twist at the end was like, oh, that's dark.
Yeah. And then to be like, we still got like 4 years left on this mission. Yeah. Whatever it is, but pull up a seat, bud.
Yeah. So episode 4, Maisie Day. This is, I think, the lowest rated episode
of the whole series.
And I think it's actually pretty solid.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I think the problem with it is that paparazzi people are the scum of the earth. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, man. Get your money. I get why they exist.
Understand it. Don't have to like it.
And I understand their philosophy behind it, but I just think it's a terrible practice and it should be illegal.
Yeah.
And they're bad people, and they deserve what happens to them in this. But this is the first, I believe, Black Mirror episode that goes out of the sci-fi element and into the fantasy element.
I mean, this is more horror than fantasy.
I just mean, like, Star Wars is like you're doing supernatural stuff. This is like Black Mirror is supposed to be based on
sci-fi technology.
Yeah. Where this has none of that. This is a werewolf storyline.
Yeah, because this is the one I said, like, the first half is very Black Mirror with the paparazzi, but the second half is Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
So I like it. I thought they were sacrificing her it was a full moon, and then we're sacrificing it to the moon god or something. I didn't expect werewolf.
Yeah. And I thought the werewolf effect looked really good.
Oh, yeah, and bloody.
And I'm always happy to see Zazie Beetz.
Yeah.
That being said, I thought the ending where she's just shoot me is just poetry. I thought that was great. And, takes a photo of it all to proof. I thought that all really worked. That being said, it's the least Black Mirror episode of Black Mirror, I think.
He's trying something new. He's dipping his toes in the horror.
But I didn't hate this episode.
Yeah.
I just didn't love it either. And then Demon 79, episode 5. I thought this was fun.
Yeah.
Once again, we're eliminating the sci-fi element to it and going into, once again, the supernatural stuff. But I liked the demon and how he's kind of like fun and laid back about it. But also there was real world consequences if this thing doesn't, kind of go down. I always enjoy movies and shows where demons and hell operates on a set of rules and that kind of stuff.
Very bureaucratic.
Yeah, it's like I'm a demon, but I'm punching a 9 to 5. If I don't get this to happen, then my boss is going to be on my, like, that kind of stuff. I like
I got quotas.
And I just had fun with this episode. But once again, I didn't love it because I just kind of, what was the point of it all?
Yeah, because like I said, and after I left and I re-listened to the last episode while I was editing, I really kind of spoiled this episode. I don't know if you remember.
I forgot it.
I said it was very much like Knock at the Cabin. You're either going to have an apocalypse or you're not going to have an apocalypse. Those are your only options. And then afterwards, I was like, that's the exact same thing of what happens in this episode. Like, I pretty much, not like spoiled it, but that was like a bad analogy.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with it going this way. I think it was kind of sweet that they're going to just like float through nothingness together. At least they have that. But I truly thought it was going to end. She was going to kill the senator guy, get arrested, and she's going to just be. Everyone's going to think she's crazy. Obviously, a demon told me to do it. Yada yada yada. I prevented the apocalypse. Well, I guess you did because everything's still around, and she's happy about it. But the twist would be other people would pick up the cause. Look at this Indian foreigner coming to our country, killing our precious like politicians. We got to do even more on these rules that he was going to set. And she actually makes it much, much worse for her people and different immigrants and stuff.
Yeah, I was waiting for the twist where the apocalypse was always going to happen or something, where like the demon wasn't. Basically, the twist was the demon was actually a terrible person.
Okay.
But I liked that wasn't what it was.
Yeah.
It's just like the twist was like they're just gonna like not live happily, but
Yeah.
they're just go into nothingness,
Mhm.
and they just enjoy each other. And I don't know, I like that idea.
Yeah.
So this was a fun episode, but from a story standpoint, it's one of the least interesting, I think,
Okay.
in terms of like, I just didn't care about
So is
the
it your
ending.
least favorite
Of the season?
of this season? Yeah.
I'd say Maisie Day is still my least favorite. I
Okay.
liked how it ended more than this one,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I enjoyed the characters in Demon 79, where I didn't like any of the characters in Maisie Day.
Okay.
So
I think Lock Henry is my least favorite of this season, just because
That's
it
fair.
is so.
Would you have gone to the murder house into the basement and stuff?
Hell yeah.
Ugh. Pass.
I mean, not at night or anything. I would have gone during the day like a normal human being.
But you would have walked down there with like the headlight on, just looking around the
Yeah, I
darkness?
guess I would have. I would go down in the day, check it all out, make sure there's no oogie boogies down there. Then I'd go at night to get all my spooky shots.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so we have two big ass movies that are. Who would have ever thought that were in a part 5 of Indiana Jones and a part 7 of Mission Impossible? Things that, like, Raiders of the Lost Ark was the #1 movie the year I was born, and I am an elderly person. And Mission Impossible, I think it came out when the first one, I was like 12 or 13, and I didn't understand what the hell was going on in that movie, and I never went back to one. None of the Mission Impossibles I've really gone back to, but we'll get into that. But do you have one that you want to talk about first? Should we do it in chronological? Indy came out 2 weeks ago, so let's just do...
Let's do Indy first.
Okay, I think a lot has been said about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think every critique I've heard have pretty much hit on the same points.
Mm-hmm.
No one's finding some new hot take or unique perspective. I think everybody is pretty much on the same page about all the same things. And I'm going to say Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is whatever. It's fine. It's not a piece of shit, but there's nothing about it that I particularly like. And I would say it's on par with Crystal Skull.
Okay.
You would say...
I would say... Now, I think I only watched Crystal Skull once in theaters.
I was a projectionist at the time, so I saw a ton of
maybe
it.
twice.
Okay.
Now, I was a defender of Crystal Skull in terms of... Now, obviously, there's some stupid shit in that movie. You know, swinging monkey vines and all that stuff.
Yes.
Whatever. But I was a defender of that movie in the sense that of all the Indiana Jones movies, it's the one that kind of makes the most sense. Because all the other ones involve magic. Where this one, like, theoretically could...
Yeah. Now, it's magic from your perspective. It's faith and spirituality from my perspective.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, so, but I don't remember hating Crystal Skull.
Okay.
I remember everyone being in a big uproar about it, but it's the first thing to come out since essentially 3 classics. However you feel about Temple of Doom, like 1 and 3 are classic pieces of adventure cinema.
I think you can throw Temple of Doom as a classic as well. I think most of the iconic Indiana Jones stuff that you remember, a lot of it comes from Temple of Doom. It's just maybe a little racist, maybe a sidekick that's a little annoying, but like
a female lead that is not a great actress.
Yeah, little shrill. But when you say like the minecart or the bridge, you know exactly which Indiana Jones. Yeah, whereas if you say, oh, Indiana Jones, the one with like the train or the tank, you could be like, oh, wait, was that 1 or was that...
You just know Ark of the Covenant or Holy Grail.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, that's Nazis. Oh, shit.
Damn it.
So I Temple of Doom is one of the most unique out of all of them, but
sure.
I think it has the most iconic shit in it. I am a fan of Last Crusade. It's my favorite, probably because that was the first one I saw as a kid and I got to see it in theaters. But it is just some of the best action in all those. And I've seen a lot more stuff from Crystal Skull, and I remember it pretty well. And like that first half of Crystal Skull's pretty okay. It's a pretty classic Indiana Jones type story. It's as soon as they go to South America, that's when you get monkeys and vine swinging and the ants. I love the ants, but
Yeah,
I have
no
it's
problem with the
kooky.
ants. Yeah.
Giant chase through the jungle, a big old tank that's cutting down trees and alien skulls, and that's when it goes over the cliff. Like
Sure.
Marion driving that truck and catching a
Yeah.
tree and landing into.
I know where you're going.
But see, then you take Dial of Destiny, and it has no memorable action scenes. It has like a pretty big concept, but it only gets there in the last 20 minutes. And it's so long and it's so boring. Nothing really happens of interest until you get way over the halfway mark. But it's competently acted and it's really well shot. I guess the first opening train scene where he's being hung and the bomb and the bell, like all that's probably the best stuff. But then you have the CG, and even though I think it looks good, you got the weird voice. You got an old man hobbling around with a young man's face. But I try not to make that too big of a deal because, whatever. He's an old man. Of course he's going to be a little hobbly. I try not to let it bother me. But once you get past that and you get into modern times, it may look nice, but there's like that, what was it, the woman CIA character with the afro? Wasted. The dude from Logan, like, what's his purpose?
I think he's the most wasted actor because I really like that guy.
Yeah.
But they gave him nothing to do other than just be like the scary dude.
Okay. Here's one of my main problems. You have three major villains. You have that dude, Boyd Holbrook.
Mm-hmm.
You have Mads Mikkelsen.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a giant guy. You always got to have a giant guy in an Indiana Jones movie. And there's like two moments that him and Indy interact, and it's just Indy kind of like turning around and bumping into him. And, oh, look how big he is. Look, Indy can't take him down. And that's fine. He doesn't have to fight him. But then he just gets handcuffed underwater and drowns? That's the new short round just takes him out like that? Like, this is a big dude. They're supposed to go into propellers or have rocks roll over him or something, and he just drowns. Then you have the other two bad guys. They both die at the same time in the same plane crash? How boring. One of them needed to go into a propeller or get stabbed by a Roman spear or something, but they just die in a crash. The end. I'm like, what a waste. These movies always have had like really fun deaths for just minions and stuff. People getting eaten by alligators and stuff when they fell off the bridge. And this is just plane crash. They die, I guess.
Yeah. So I enjoyed the opening sequence, but I think my problem with it was that it was a nighttime action sequence where all the best iconic, it's always shot in the day because it looks good, and you see real stuntmen doing the stuff. And this was it has to be at night because it helps hide the face stuff. Yeah. And it's fine that it's at night. I felt like it was missing stuff because it was night CGI.
The Lone Ranger, not a great movie, but it had like a full daylight train sequence that was very Pirates-like. That's a really fun sequence.
Yeah.
But it's got nothing.
Yeah. So, some people I think are bothered by the de-aging. It didn't bother me. It
doesn't bother me.
It was fine.
I'm more worried about like Mads Mikkelsen getting cracked in the fucking face by a giant pole
and not having a scar or anything.
He should have had a cane and a busted arm and a bad eye. That's like a really memorable looking character, and that could be one of his things of like, I want to go back in time. Spoilers, time travel movie. I want to go back in time because look how Indy left me. Yeah. And I could be the Fuhrer. I could be more, and yada, yada, yada. But no, he survives.
Should have been dead. It's not dead, mangled.
Paralyzed, waist down,
whatever.
something.
Movie stuff.
Yeah.
This is also a movie where Indiana Jones can punch anybody out in a single punch, but he can take a billion hits or whatever.
But at least they address it. He's like climbing up the cave, and he's having to take a breath, and they're like, oh, I'm too old for this shit. They do. He's not whipping I-beams and swinging himself and landing into jeeps and crushing the windshield and just going like, hey guys, and completely impervious. I did see, or I heard, I think it was on the Mostly Nitpicking podcast, that him being in the refrigerator, getting hit by the nuke in the lead, it kind of gave him almost like an adamantium skeleton. That's why he's able to take so much abuse as an old man.
I'll take it. But anywho, I really liked Phoebe Waller-Bridge in this. I thought she was a lot of fun. I thought she brought a lot of good energy. I could see her being in more...
No, I don't think she can carry her own movie.
No, I'm not saying an Indiana Jones movie. I just mean like...
As an actress, you could see her in more things.
Well, no, whatever. I liked what she brought to it.
And she was kind of a dick. I like that.
Yeah. I hated you keep calling him New Short Round, but the sidekick character.
Yeah. What's his name? Trey or Charlie?
Doesn't matter.
New Short Round.
New Short Round.
Okay, no, he's Tall Square.
Tall
Square.
Yeah, Tall Square. I just couldn't understand him all the time. I thought it sounded like they did a weird dubbing where they couldn't quite get his voice, so they told him to come back to the booth and do it again. But it always sounded like way too high, or I don't know. It just his voice didn't sound right to me. So I had some issues hearing him, and I just don't think his character brought anything.
Yeah,
he was there just to be, hey, remember Short Round? Well, this is kind of
we'll need someone to fly a plane behind the plane that's going into the big sky butthole, so yeah, we got to have some sidekick, so whatever.
Sure. I think you could have written this kid out of the movie and it would have been just as fine.
Make it Sala. That's Sala, not another old man. That was such a sad scene where he's just like, I want to see mountains, Gandalf, mountains! And then he's just kind of like, nah, bye.
Yeah. Stay in. I think that... So let's just get to the end where Mads Mikkelsen's character wants to time travel back and kill Hitler, not to stop the war, but to do it better.
And Indy has to fight for his life to save Hitler's life.
And what happens is they go back in time, but instead of going back to Nazi Germany, they go back to Archimedes times, because the dial was designed to bring back whoever's from the future who gets this thing can come to my time.
I guess. But they also said something about continental drift, and that's why it's different, but they don't really explain that. But if that did factor in, what are the odds that it would bring him back exactly to when Archimedes is building this thing? So it's very vague.
Yeah.
And what was it called? The Ark Bark or something? Like the Ark? It was like
I'm not even going to attempt to say
Archaeometer. Was it?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, come on.
But anywho, so we have Indy meet Archimedes, the designer of this time-traveling device.
No, it's not a time-traveling device.
I know. This MacGuffin. And Indy's like, oh, let me stay here. Let me be part of history. I get to meet this amazing man, yada, yada, yada. And then Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character is like, no. And then he wakes up and he's back in the future.
Yep.
And then we find out, not at this moment, but Shia LaBeouf's character died in the war. What war? Who's
Vietnam.
It's
Vietnam.
I know it's Vietnam, but he would have been like 40 when... It's very vague, I think, on the how old he is in Crystal Skull, because
I would say
it would have only been a couple years later.
Yeah, I guess he would be 40.
Or like it would have been 20 years later.
But they did say he signed up. He wasn't drafted, so he could have been an older man.
So he got shot in an alley before he actually left for Vietnam.
That's it. He didn't die in the war. He was just a mugging.
Yeah.
He saw the Bruce Wayne.
He died because of the war. Well, he was in the draft line for the war, so like technically he died during the war, but not.
But yeah, it was a stray bullet that got JFK, and it also got him too. He was there.
He was just standing by.
Yeah, he was waiting for the bus. Like, oh, the president's in town. That's cool. Magneto, damn it! Now we're merging everything. Disney owns it all.
Yeah,
so.
We're bringing all the franchises in, and that he is now separated from Marion. And I thought this was wasted because Marion comes back at the end because I guess Phoebe Waller-Bridge calls and says, hey, Indy went back in time and almost died. You guys should get back together. She's like, cool. And then they kiss and the movie's just over.
Yep.
And I would like to pitch I think a better movie, and I
Do it.
understand why
This is what we're all about.
and I
Thinking we're better than.
and I understand why they
people.
couldn't do it because the Shia LaBeouf problem.
Okay.
But I think what would have made more sense, you could still do the Dial of Destiny, and you could still do the sort of time travel element to it. But I think Indy would have, in an ideal situation, that he would have used that dial to travel back. Because he mentioned there's a very nice scene where she's like, "If you could travel back in time, what would you do?" And he's like, "I'd tell my son, not to go to the war so he doesn't die, and I'd say all the right things to him and his mother, and we all just yada yada yada." I think this movie should have been Indy trying to go back in time to save his son's life to fix his family, because he's like, if I don't save him, then I don't lose Marion and my life doesn't fall apart. And he goes back in time and realizes that I can't save my son, but he has a nice moment with Shia LaBeouf where they like embrace. He's like, "I know you love me, Dad. You're a good man." Whatever he needs to say, or maybe he doesn't say anything at all. He just watches his son and
Maybe he does it a bunch of times.
kind of gets to say his goodbye,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of gets closure with the death of his son, and that allows him to be emotionally open to be with Marion and have that, because maybe he's like, maybe I'll just stay. I've chased history my entire life. Maybe it's time I stay back and be part of history. But then the whole point of the movie is like, no, the history is in the past. You need to look forward. You need to be part of the future.
Mm-hmm.
Marion's still out there, and she's hurting, and you need to be there for her. So that's what you need to move. Like the past is in the past. You can't save your son, but you can save your marriage, and that should have been the thing of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the marriage and the son stuff is just like, oh well, this is why Indy's sad now, but
Mm-hmm.
we're not really going to focus. It should have been, how can Indy forget the past to move forward with the future? And then there's none of that, because this whole movie is supposed to be about like legacy and the final, like Indy's last adventure,
Mm-hmm.
the final ride. And everyone's talking about, I think it's a perfect send off for Indiana Jones, but it's like, I don't think it really is.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just another Indiana Jones adventure where we go, okay, if this is how it ends, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think it should have been, if this was Indy's last ride and legacy, it's like him hanging up the hat. It should have been like, that should have been the final shot, is him hanging up the hat, because now Marion's back. He doesn't need the hat anymore.
Yeah,
but
no,
him grabbing the hat at the end is like, it's just saying, I'll always be
I'll
Indiana
always
Jones.
be here. I like to believe that their DoorDash arrived and he needed to cover his junk because they were getting it on.
Oh.
And yeah, and it's like, oh, Chinese is here, and he opens it and like, short round.
Kalima. Oh. Short round's better.
So what I thought, because I knew it was time travel going in, or at least I had heard a rumor that it was time travel. So I thought they were going to go this way. I'm glad they didn't, because it's too obvious, and I'm a hack, so it would be that the archaeometer, whatever that is the time travel device.
Sure.
Having to, it tells you where the sky portal is going to be. You're talking about all these airplanes and all these years, they don't just accidentally run into this sky portal. And also they had all this stuff with NASA and Mads Mikkelsen, like helping them get to the moon. I thought it was like, not that I want to see Indy in space or riding a rocket ship or anything, but I thought that would maybe play into it in some way. But what I thought they were going to do is pull a Back to the Future, and he was going to go back to his early adventures, and he would be trying to not be seen and try to help Indy through things, and then he would like, oh, wrong one, and then he would jump forward and, oh, he's being lowered into lava or whatever. Oh, not that one. Skips it. And it's like, so we get to see some of his old adventures and some of the adventures we've never seen.
I'm glad they didn't go that way, because that sounds dumb.
And then, here's the worst part of it. And like, well, all right, we got to get back to 1979. And they do it, and he goes too far. And he's in 2023. And now you can do modern day Indiana Jones with Harrison Ford. And he's like, oh, what's the cell phone thing? This is crazy. And then you don't have to worry about like time period sensitive cars and outfits. You could just do Indy in modern time. It's cheaper. It's what we've always wanted to see. We know he can't last until actual 2023, because he'd be like, what, 130 or something like that? So now he's back, whipping in the future. Indiana Jones and the whip of the future. That's what part 6 is going to be. That's my garbage take.
All right.
Yeah.
The last thing I'll say about this movie is, I think it's clear Harrison Ford loves this character, and I
Yeah,
think he had a good. It seemed like he had a good time making
yeah,
this movie. He didn't phone it in for Indiana
no,
Jones, so I will give Harrison Ford credit. It's a perfectly well made movie,
yeah.
but just do I feel like it's a perfect send off for Indiana Jones? No. Do I feel like the movie needed to be made? No.
Mm,
But it's fine that it's here.
yeah, it's a perfectly fine number 5. If 4 would have been made in the late 90s, maybe pre episode 1, and then episode 5 is made mid 2000s, to leave it open for a 6, I think
Mm-hmm.
that would work. But now with such a huge gap in between 3 and 4 and 4 and 5, it's another missed opportunity sort of story. Like, I want to see more of Indiana Jones, but every time you present me with something new, it's aliens or time travel, and it's not necessarily the thing I want. I like that it is more spiritually based, uh, but it could be things like Atlantis, some
Sure.
pyramids
El
in
Dorado.
any of those sorts of things, and it would be fine adventures. But I think we needed to get a couple more under our belt before we started dipping into aliens and time travel. But it's perfectly fine. I think I give it a C minus. It's whatever. It's just
Yeah,
it's
I'd
just
say
there.
C.
I will never watch it again.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. Final thing. We're actually excellent on time.
Really?
We are killing it. We're at the 124 mark,
Really?
pre editing,
Oh,
and we've
thank
already knocked all this shit out, so you will get to bed at a reasonable time, Steve.
Yes.
Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, aka Mission Impossible 7.
I'm just gonna blink and it's gonna be at the 3.5 hour mark. I'm like, how did we talk about this for 2 hours?
Yeah, I don't think this is a movie you can talk about for so many hours, but when it comes to Mission Impossible, I'm not a huge fanboy. I don't eagerly anticipate the next one. I've liked all of them, but I think I've only seen them all once.
Okay.
I've never gone back, never felt the need. I'm not invested in the characters. It's like, oh, Ving Rhames has been around since the first one. And I don't even know his name. I only know Simon Pegg's name because it's practically the same as mine. Uh, but like they've had people come and go, and didn't he have a wife? Wasn't he married to what's her?
Michelle Monaghan.
Yeah. Is she dead? Did she die in one of
Huh.
them?
She was in the last one.
Did they get a divorce?
Yeah. Well, they they were together in 3, and then at the end of 4, you found out that she was like, I think it was hinted at that she was dead or whatever. That at the end of 4, you find out, oh, she is alive because you see Tom Cruise like looking at her from a distance, and I think
Okay.
they notice each other or whatever, and they
Okay.
kind of wave. So she's like, he's hidden her, and so now she can have her own
Okay.
life. Like they've separated,
Okay.
and then she comes back in 6 at the very end, and you find out that she is now married to Wes Bentley. Like she has
Oh
gotten remarried because she
yeah.
helps him like defuse the bomb or
Yeah, yeah,
whatever,
yeah, yeah,
or it
yeah.
doesn't help him defuse it, but it's just like there as he does it.
Sure.
So that's her send off for that character. It's
Okay.
okay, she got remarried, she has her own life, she has her goodbye with Tom
Mm-hmm.
or Ethan, and then that's it.
Okay.
But she's still alive and out there as of far as we know.
Okay. So yeah, I've never really cared much about this series. I just cared more about, well, what's the big stunt?
Hmm.
And that's generally how they sell it. And I gotta say, not too impressed with this stunt. One, they showed a ton of making of for it, so when it actually happened, it wasn't all that impressive. And there's no other big stunt in any other part of the movie that just doesn't seem like a typical just action scene. So, like, when it comes to its gimmick, I don't think it really delivers.
Hmm.
But as an action movie, this is still a really solid movie. As just a movie, just an interesting story with interesting characters, not so much. I do not care about this plot, and it's always there's a guy who wants to get a thing because the thing can destroy the other thing. It's always just bad guy gets a MacGuffin, whether it's a nuke or poison or whatever it is, and now it's killer AI. It's just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Another bad guy trying to take down everything. They'll stop it. No big deal. It doesn't feel special. Uh, and the thing that really saves it is good performances by like Haley Atwell. I think is great in this, and the action is good.
Hmm.
It's not swinging off a building in Dubai. Like that jump, if it stayed on him and he went down and then you see him deploy and he actually kind of got close to the train, doesn't have to land on it in one take. If it was a legit close to one take and it kind of seemed like he was going to hit his objective, that's cool. He hits it, he free falls, and then they cut to close-ups, then they cut to other people, and then you lose kind of the momentum, and then you don't know if it's a green screen or not. And it's just, and then he comes flying through the window
We're really jumping ahead.
I know,
yeah.
like Vin Diesel just like through the train as a wrecking ball. So yeah, that big stunt, not that special. I wouldn't do it. But I'm also probably have negative Thetan levels, so I couldn't even possibly do it.
I would do all the stunts except for the like hold my breath for 6 minutes one from Rogue Nation, I think. Yeah. Someone asked me, and I was just like, well, here's the thing. If I fail at those stunts, I die instantly. So it's no big deal.
Yeah.
But if I'm in the water one, and then like the crew doesn't recognize what's going on right away, and I just slowly drown, and I like, panic, like I know I'm gonna die before I die, that kind of sucks. Or like, I die slowly versus like, my parachute doesn't open. Then
all of them, you're very aware you're about to die. You fall from a plane, you fall from the building, you fall off the bike, and your chute doesn't open. You're all very much aware.
But I know there's no hope when my parachute doesn't deploy, so I feel like there would be like peaceful resignation.
Okay. Like, you're drowning. Someone can help me. Someone can help me.
There's still hope when I'm on the water.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's the scary part.
Yeah.
But whatever, it doesn't matter.
I wouldn't even ride the motorcycle through the woods. That was scary enough for me. I might hit a rock and then I'd fall over and scrape my knees.
But okay, so for me, I really enjoy the Mission Impossible series. 3 is my favorite. It's the one I've rewatched the most. Now, would I say 3 is the best of them? Maybe not.
Okay.
I really need to go back. But I don't know if I've actually ever seen 2 all the way through. So I'm going to say 2 is in 6th or 7th place for me.
Yes, it's considered the bad one. But I think even as just an action movie, it's fine.
And then I'd say 1 is number 6 because I think it's a good start to the franchise. It's solid, but in terms of where it is now, it doesn't hold up. It's like watching Iron Man versus like the Avengers Endgame. It's like, Iron Man's fine, but look where they're at now, kind of thing. And then I'd say probably this one is 5. And I'll just talk about this one for a bit. So I think this one relies a little bit too heavy on face-changing technology,
They all do.
which I know that's like
they're obsessed with their masks.
It's a thing, but it just makes everything too easy, even when it
they throw some monkey wrenches in.
No, and they have to, because otherwise it's not.
Otherwise it's nothing.
But that face technology would solve most of their problems all the time. That being said, Haley Atwell, she was fine as Agent Carter. I'd never thought too much of her, but I don't know if other than my wife, I don't know if I've ever seen a more beautiful person in my life. Yeah. I thought she was gorgeous in this movie.
She is beautiful and talented, and
but I loved her in this movie. I'm like, oh, okay, so even though she's not the action person in this movie, you have Rebecca Ferguson and pretty much everyone else is doing action scenes where she's not really doing fight sequences. I think she's a star, and I want to see her in more stuff too.
Because she also she comes off as a real person, not an action star. Like, you ready for this? And she's just like, no, I'm not.
I'm in this by accident.
Yeah.
So I really liked her and Tom together. I thought they had really good chemistry.
Which Tom Cruise hasn't had chemistry with a woman in decades. Like, he usually doesn't even do romantic anything in his movies much more, because he is kind of this asexual wonder kid. But he actually, if they kissed, I would have been okay with it.
Yeah. And I think it's supposed to be implied that him and Rebecca Ferguson have a relationship.
Yeah. There's a cute little hug. And
there's a nuzzle up. Like those old-timey movies where you can't show...
Yeah, they go in for a kiss and then touch cheeks.
Yeah, it's but that's like the old-timey way of implying, oh, they're doing it, but we just can't show it and that kind of stuff. Because, of course, when you're a super spy and you don't have time to date, and it's like, who are you going to date? Oh, your coworker, because she's the only person who gets the same sort of thing as you. It's like,
and I'm sure they're not dating. They're just kind of like, how much time? We got about 45 minutes to the mission. Can we knock this out real quick? Roger. Your mission, if you choose to accept it, make me come. This pussy will self-destruct if you don't get me off. Sorry.
We'll just put all that at the end. That's the tag, because we got to cut all that.
No. It's staying in. It's good stuff.
But let's talk about the AI.
Yeah.
AI, hot topic right now.
Yeah.
I get it.
Very topical.
It's I feel like I've seen AI take over technologies better.
Sure.
So,
but usually it's like, we're going to launch all the, like, it's stopped the missiles. It's stopped the killer robots. This is, well, that's step 2 or 3. We're still, on step 1.
Mm-hmm.
And usually we're already past that part in most of these sort of AI movies.
Yeah. But it just, for me, it seems like they kept talking about this AI is so advanced and it's learning all the possibilities in a nanosecond all the time. It's constantly evolving. And
I think it said 1,000 1,000 trillions every nanosecond,
or something like that. It just
computations every second. Like
it seems okay. So it's essentially a god.
Yeah,
but it's still. It never really feels like it's that involved. It seems like it's this entity. And they say entity 100 times in this movie. It's this entity that seems to be controlling everything and it can plan for everything, but it doesn't really do a whole lot. There's a part where it, mimics Simon Pegg's voice, or it shuts down a computer. It's just doing like the bare minimum stuff because it's not something you can fight. So that's why you have these human avatars of Palm Clementif and Gabriel, because I forget the actor's actual name. But it never really seems all that threatening. Like, you see the movie Eagle Eye. Eagle Eye is awesome. No one ever talks about Eagle Eye.
Also with Michelle Monaghan.
And
Shia LaBeouf, who was in Indiana Jones.
Yeah, here we go. Full circle. But Eagle Eye, I think, is a very effective use of AI and how scary that can be and take over things and shut down stuff. Because how connected our whole world is, where this AI never really felt like it was doing too much. It was just, I'm going to shut everything down and then just let the human people I hired somehow deal with it.
You think there would be like a haunted house almost scene where it's like it's closing doors and they're having to take an alternate route and it's shutting things in front of them, but it's like, no, it's just
like
kind of
changing traffic lights or
something.
There's a massive crane that is automated and it turns the crane on. Now there's a wrecking ball going through Rome and it's got a dot and they got to drive past
we're going to turn off your face making machine and
you can't use computers unless you hack into some old Russian satellite for manual whatever. Okay, so I didn't love the AI in this because it never really felt like this all-powerful entity.
There's no personality. Like in Eagle Eye, she's talking to him the whole time, and they have a bit of a rapport. Now, I don't want like a maniacal robot man or anything, but we have a scene where he's talking to Tom Cruise, telling him, hey, it's me, the entity, and I'm fucking with your shit. But it doesn't become like a personality on its own. Its henchman is like the main bad guy. And I don't care about that guy. If they never mentioned he was in the first one, would have never remembered.
He wasn't in the first one, I don't think.
Isn't that the whole thing with the flashback? Of him,
I think that's a made-up flashback.
Oh, really?
I could be wrong, yeah. Because you never even see Tom Cruise's face. It's an actor who they gave long hair to make look like old school Tom.
I thought they were implying this is something that happened in part 1. I swear I've heard things that saying he is in part 1.
I could be wrong. Yeah, it's been so long since I've seen
I think he is.
But I think this is a made up thing because we never know Ethan's backstory as to how he joined the MIF.
Man, we should have done some research before this. But what I was saying, like the big main threat, it's like it can do anything, and that's scary. But we don't see it do anything. It doesn't talk to us and make any sort of threats. We don't know its demands. It is a tool that can be used, but if you try to control it, it will stop you. So it's this big looming threat, but it's so vague at the same time. So it's hard for me to get invested in like, oh no, this thing. Because anybody else in another movie, they would be doing the same thing as the AI, launching the nukes on someone or releasing the poison gas. It's just a more manual thing.
And then we have Gabriel's character, who is just kind of a standard scary dude, but you don't really get much of his motivation. Like, he has a past with Ethan because he killed Maria, but I don't remember if they ever established why he betrayed them or what his deal is. And they're like, oh, this man is one of the most dangerous men on the planet. He doesn't care about death. He likes pain and suffering. But you never really see him do anything all that menacing. Like, he brutally will slit someone's throat or kill whoever to achieve his goal.
Yeah.
But you never get the sense of like who this guy is or why he cares so much about
Yeah.
Ethan, because Ethan's been saving the world for 30 plus years now, and you would think that this guy in that time could have, well, I could have found Ethan, I could have
Yeah.
gone back for and finished the job or whatever. And yeah, Gabriel might have been a ghost, but people still knew of him, and it just seems like Gabriel, they can all find each other within a day, because you have Shea Wiggum and his partner's character constantly chasing Ethan and his team, and they're always one step behind. And I really like him in this. That being said, you could have taken these characters out,
100%.
and it would have done nothing else.
Shortened up a little bit.
Yeah.
There is one joke that I love of them in the airport, and they're just like, we lost him again. Where could he possibly be? And he's running right behind him.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Because I think Shea Wiggum's great, and I like his face and his interactions. And maybe they're going to do more with him in part 2.
Sure.
Just from how the movie ends. But I think him and his partner just wasted. I didn't really see why they were in this at all.
Especially since the partner kept, he would ask, the moral questions, and maybe he's doing right. And I know it's probably a setup for later where he's going to have to turn on his own partner and be like, no, Ethan's right. We got to do this.
That kid will join the IMF, and Shea Wiggum will be like, okay, he saved the world. You go. I'll still chase you or something.
I'll give you 15 minutes.
Give you 15 minutes. So, whatever. You could have got rid of those. And then there's Palm Clementif, who's your classic sort of interesting assassin who doesn't psycho henchman who barely speaks.
Yeah.
I thought she was fucking great in this.
Yeah.
I thought she was really cool. I loved the tight alleyway fight scene with him.
Yeah.
And
that was probably my favorite showdown.
Yeah. I thought she was really cool, and I loved her in this. Because the only thing I think I've ever really seen her in is Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
What's the Ingrid Goes West? I know she's in that.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, she's one of.
I mean, I saw it, but I don't.
One of the Elizabeth Olsen's friends.
Oh.
She's like a snobby
influencer
type.
Got it. Yeah. So that's the team. I didn't care for. Well, I didn't care for her turnaround.
Yeah.
Because that's such a lazy way of getting the bad guy to be on your side. Like, well, he spared my life, so I guess I owe him one.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, no, you're just a bad person.
Yeah.
You'll murder anybody, but if the person you're about to murder was just like, you're okay, you'd be like, all right, cool, I guess I'm a good guy now. And then,
well, her master betrayed her because the robot said she would, so it's self-fulfilling prophecy. She's got to do it.
Yeah, whatever. So she'll be back for 2.
Yeah. Biggest waste though, Rebecca Ferguson. Don't bring her back. Don't bring her back at all for this if you're just going to kill her off. Save her for the next one. She's one of the best things of the last 2, I think she was in.
She started in 5.
Okay, so 5 and 6. And being a little biased, she's in the main character of Silo, and she's amazing. And I've fallen for Rebecca Ferguson.
And she's in Dune.
But so lame. They don't do anything with her. She has a little brief part at the beginning, and then they just kill her.
Yeah, and they have this whole other sort of idea that women in Ethan's life suffer horrible fates.
Yeah.
Which I get why they would go that way, and it just seems like it was kind of thrown in to give more weight to Rebecca Ferguson's death, because even though she's a cool character who has been in the past couple movies, it's not like she's a character that I feel like everyone really, really loves.
Sure.
So we need to give that a little bit more and kind of make Ethan have a fault, because Ethan's the hero, and he might mess up missions because a mistake something happens and he just couldn't finish the mission, but he's always morally right and never does anything wrong. He's your hero. He's Tom Cruise. He can do no wrong. Outside of that might be different, but in this world, this world, Ethan Hunt is pure.
Yeah.
So this idea that women he loves get hurt and fridging is a constant thing. Like, I see where they're going. I have a theory though. Rebecca Ferguson, Haley Atwell, Michelle Monaghan, all brunettes. Villain, Vanessa Kirby, blonde.
Palm Clementif, blonde.
Palm Clementif, blonde, exactly. So my theory is Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, horrible thing, and it's just like, know what? Blonde women are monsters.
Nicole Kidman's a redhead.
Not at the time.
She's a natural redhead.
No, but I'm saying like she's
What
famous. She's famously been blonde for
in movies with wigs, but that she is famously a redhead Australian lady.
whatever.
Okay, name me 2 movies where she's blonde.
All of them.
No! She always has big red curly hair. I can think of Batman Forever and...
She didn't have red hair in Batman.
No, I'm saying as a blonde.
Oh, as a blonde.
Yeah,
Oh,
as a
okay.
blonde. I don't know, what was the...
I don't think I've ever seen her with red hair.
If you Google her...
I believe you that she's a natural redhead, but I'm saying I think she's famously blonde.
Okay, I'm putting it out there. I'll put it on Twitter. Comment below. Is Nicole Kidman famously blonde or famously a redhead? Thank you.
Yeah. So I think
I
Tom,
see-
I think my theory is Tom Cruise doesn't like blondes, so he makes them villains, and I think he's got a preference for brunettes, and that's why all of his chemistry love interests in these movies have always
Paula
been
Patton, also brunette.
Yep.
What happened to her? Bring her back and kill her off.
Paula Patton.
I know. I love Paula Patton too, but if you're gonna kill off Rebecca Ferguson, good old Becky Fergie, you do a thing where he's holding both him and her and Haley Atwell, and it's like, I promised this one I wouldn't let anything happen to her. She's just an innocent in this, and this one kind of set up for the life, or signed up for the life. What's the choice there? And he lets her go. That's tragic for him to do it to one of his friends to save a practical stranger, but he made this promise. It adds a little more than just, no, she encountered the bad guy first and he got the upper hand.
Yeah. It seems a little too Spider-Man Tobey Maguire one for me, but
yeah.
I mean, I did like that fight scene between Gabriel and her.
Yeah, that whole sequence was pretty good.
Yeah.
All the sequences are good
and location-wise, this show, this franchise always does a really good job of like showing where you are. I think the car chase sequence was a lot of fun, if not a little bit silly when you have a giant tank jeep thing just blowing through the city or whatever.
And they're driving the little...
The little car was a good fun bit.
Yeah, this movie actually is pretty funny at times. Like I mentioned that airport, the airport bit, and then him trying to figure out the car. It's like, it's not super laugh out loud, but it's funny enough.
Yeah,
him about to like rocket off the cliff, and him trying to contemplate an argument with Benji. It's like there's some funny jokes without being jokey.
Because a lot of these movies, I think, hang on Simon Pegg to do a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of comic relief, where I think everyone really got to do some comedy in this, which is nice. Okay, so last thing we'll talk about, the train sequence. Because we talked about the jump. The jump is a thing. It's fine. This is where the movie, I think, I was really into it up to this point, and I really liked this final sequence. That being said, it's a Fast and the Furious sequence, because it is absurd. When he, lands through the window and smashes the guy in the one place at the perfect time as Haley Atwell's about to get shot. There had to have been a better way to do this, or at least a way that you could have explained this, where she's wearing a watch, so he knows her exact location at all times. But it was just, he got lucky.
Yeah.
It is horrible screenwriting. I hate that shit.
That's probably the dumbest thing, but maybe the only dumb thing. Everything else makes relative movie sense, I would say.
I think there was another point, I don't remember which, where I did another eye roll. Oh, come on. But that was the big one for me. But once we get to the bridge explosion, the train's going off the rails, and we have them doing the Uncharted train climb sequence.
Yeah.
I fucking love this.
Yeah.
This is perfect quality set piece action movie bit. Them going through the kitchen as he's like slamming down like the dishwasher so he has a better handle. I thought that was so smart, and just grabbing things that are bolted down.
You got a slippery wet floor, you got fryers going and fire on the other side.
It was so well done and handled. It made perfect sense on how you would cleverly climb up this thing.
It was a quick time
while also adding danger elements to it that you would find in that natural element. I'm just surprised there wasn't like a rack of knives that like came flying down. They had to like dodge, and one like kind of catches him in the shoulder. He's like, and pulls it out. So them getting out of that was really fun. And then them in the I'm just going to call it the dining car with the piano and the dining, the piano hitting the wall as the thing was shaking, just to add sort of like a Jaws sort of
Mm-hmm.
eminent bong,
Yeah.
like just ominous tone. I thought was pure cinema. I love
Mm-hmm.
that bit. Now it being held up by like a belt for so long,
Sure.
like whatever, that's movie stuff.
Yeah.
But it very Nolan-esque just felt.
Like the airplane in Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, or the turning hallway, just like
Okay. Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I liked how it was shot, and it was so. I just loved the back half of the train
Mm-hmm.
sequence.
And there's good editing points where like they're still climbing, and then it cuts to the joint, and the joint snaps and it falls, but they're already on the other car. Like you don't have to see them pull themselves out of the door,
Mhm.
and it I don't know. It's just really simple editing tricks to make you go, oh, okay. And also sound design, especially for this train thing, like coming through that tunnel, and then just it's so loud, and then it as soon as they get out, and the sound kind of dissipates. And the cars going down the steps in the big chase. Really great sound design in this.
Oh, I remember the other thing I hated.
Oh, okay.
Is Tom Cruise and Gabriel? They're fighting on top of the train, and then when he just leans back and falls off the train,
Yeah.
because he had it timed
Time perfectly
to land, which is fine, but and I know I can kind of write this off as well. The watch would have knew where he was on the train, so it could judge the distance to give him the proper time to land. Because whatever, but it just seemed like, oh, I know in 6 seconds my exit's coming up. But did he know he was going to be at that exact spot? Because he would have had to be, because the train is moving at 90 miles an hour.
Sure.
He's on top of this moving train. There's wind factors, and he knew. I just didn't know how he could possibly guess.
It felt like I'm so good at this, and I have the AI, and it knows exactly when I should fall off. But he smashed the controls for the train to make it go faster, slower, stop it. How would he know exactly how fast it's going? Once he smashes it, and it's going 93 miles an hour. Well, if it went 94, he's going to miss that drop. So I can
There's so many factors that would make him die.
I just think the AI is doing the calculation of where he's at, and then put it on his watch 10, 9, 8. He didn't set it for 37 minutes, and the computer just adjusted it to what was actually happening.
Yeah, it's just because that wasn't explained, it just seemed like he's really good at guessing.
Good, yeah.
And
that was a very eagle eye moment.
I was just, oh God, come on. That was my other eye roll moment. But it was fine. I could write that one off. The Tom Cruise jump through the train, I cannot write that off. That's absurd.
Mm-hmm.
But so the big takeaways from this movie: action scenes are fun. Love the ending train sequence. We had 2 train sequences in this episode: Indiana Jones and this.
Oh wow! Yeah. And car chases.
Haley Atwell,
little cars.
Yeah. Haley Atwell is a star. Put her in everything. I thought she was great.
Yeah.
And I look forward to the final installment with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Maybe the franchise will continue with other actors, but I have fun with all these movies. I don't think there's a bad one of the bunch. I really should go back and watch 2.
I want to watch 1, 2, and 3. Those are the ones I've watched. Well, I say watched the least, but I've watched all of them only once. But they're the one that's furthest enough back that I don't remember much.
Yeah.
I just remember the bridge scene where the bomb goes off and he goes flying into the car sideways. That was 3, right?
That was 3, yeah.
Okay.
So I said 2, 1, 7. Then I'll say, what's 5 is Rogue Nation, right?
Don't ask me.
Damn.
Don't ask me.
There's Ghost. Oh, there's Fallout. Fallout is 6. Rogue Nation.
No, Fallout's probably the best, if not second.
No. I'm saying I'm trying to.
Oh yeah, Fallout is part 6. Yes.
It was Rogue Nation, then Fallout, correct?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Just use numbers. You don't need to say what they are.
Okay.
It goes 2, 1,
2,
7,
7, 4, 6,
3,
4, 5, 6, 3.
Okay.
Yeah. I recognize that 3 might not hold up compared to these other ones, but I think 3 is where the franchise really changed, and 3 has Philip Seymour Hoffman as the villain.
Yeah.
Best villain of all of them. Yeah. He's so fucking good, and I think 3 just really sets the tone for everything that comes afterwards, and it's just a ton of fun and badass and great moments. 3 is awesome.
Yeah, I think 5 out of the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think 5 is a little lower. Is pretty low for me. Just kind of forgettable. What's
Yeah.
the one where the bad guy's in the back of the truck in the water? Is that Fallout? And the like it's tumbling and the water's just like rising on one side.
Yeah.
God, that is scary. And Henry Cavill cocking his arms and just being a badass. Like that's enough to go. That's the best one. You see that 2-second shot of him cocking his arms? Amazing.
Yeah. Fallout's great.
Yeah. This is the movie, as said, Fast and Furious wants to be. It thinks it's this. It thinks it's clever. It thinks it's cool. We're spies as well. We're doing the big save the world thing, but it never will be. If we had like Tom Cruise running on the top of the train as it's going, and then jumps off the last one, and then has Haley Atwell catches him as he falls along the track, something like that. It would be much bigger eye rolls because this wasn't even like a huge drop to the water. Fast and the Furious, it would have been a mile down, and hey, we got a dam blown up and a bridge blown up. Got very similar kind of endings. Both are part ones of two, but at least this felt satisfying at the end. Of like, I got kind of the conclusion I needed for this story. Now it's getting the thing and probably enacting the thing, and maybe that would have kind of been a fun way to end this one. Is now that we have the key, let's start the apocalypse. Whatever his plan is, let's do it. And then they're going like, we thought we saved the day, and then they see the nukes go up. Whatever it is. That's one of my problems with the Fast and Furious. I wish they would fail and then not take it to Mad Max levels, but what is it like to be a spy street racer in a fresh apocalypse? Supply
Right.
chains are fucked up, gasoline may be scarce. What's that world like? And I think it's too late now. Even though it'll probably be another 3-hour movie, I can't see us starting with any sort of big event. I'm sure it will just be stopping them and pressing the button right as it gets to one, just like in Fallout. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but this was at least satisfying in it. We know the mission was success. We got the key. And we know where we got to go next.
Mm-hmm.
The bad guy still got information he needed. It was satisfying enough.
This franchise, I think, it's the middle point between Fast and Furious and James Bond.
Yeah.
It's like James Bond is all class. It's the Aston Martin,
Mm-hmm.
and Fast X is Mountain Dew and Doritos, muscle cars, and then Mission Impossible is your Nissan sedan. It's a nice. That's not bad car. I don't know cars.
It's like you have the Martini versus the Mountain Dew or the Corona.
Yeah.
Really, it's the Martini versus the Corona. So what's a good middle ground?
Manhattan.
Yeah, like an old fashioned, or is that too fancy?
No,
or is it like the Long Island? It's got a lot of premium alcohols in it, but it is kind of a trashy drink. It's a little fun.
Let's go for it.
Let's go Long Island. Mission Impossible, Long Island. All right.
Is that the final one?
Yep. Well, and they call it Dead Reckoning, and they say it right at the beginning. One of the Russian guys doing the voiceover says Dead Reckoning.
Yeah.
Do you know why? It's just like, we are in a boat. We are in the sea, Dead Reckoning, and then we are coming across it. Like, wait, I heard it, but I don't know what it means.
Yeah, I'm forgetting exactly as to the why.
Okay. But I don't know why anybody gets in a submarine. Y'all crazy. There's no escape. At least with an airplane, I could jump out. I probably won't survive, but I can at least make an attempt. You're in the ocean, it's cold, you're down deep, you're not opening up any sort of hatches. You're done for.
Well, you sign up for that.
Yeah, but why? Why does anybody sign up for it? That's crazy.
Well, you sign up for the military, you do the basic stuff, and they're like, hey, well, there's this job here, and if you take this job, you can make a ton of money, and all that stuff. And they're just like, okay, cool, I'll take the ton of money, because what are the chances are that this suit that I'm going to sign up for a job where a fancy AI that the likes of the world has never seen is going to shoot a missile at itself and just kill everyone on the crew?
Maybe now. I could understand getting in a submarine now with our technology and our know-how, sure. But like World War II? Why the hell was anybody getting in that? We had only been flying for a couple of dozen years, and now we're going to be like under the water? It's nuts.
Well, I mean, we've been sailing for centuries.
But that's on top of the water.
No, but I mean, I feel like the idea of flying would be more scary. And it's like, we've only been flying for a couple of years. At least we've been in the water for
Yeah,
centuries.
maybe. I don't know.
It's just a boat that's under the water. But I
Couldn't
mean, the
do it.
scariest part about being in a boat is sinking, where now you're already under the water.
You're halfway there, buddy.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is drown. It's cool. Yeah, no, thank you. Well, I think that's it. We're under 2 hours. We had
Woo.
all that, and we're under 2 hours. But I gotta wrap up. But after it edits, it'll probably be under 2 hours.
So, last thing, what would you give Mission Impossible as a grade?
Oh, I gave it a B minus. I think it's a very good action movie, but story wise, I'm not invested in anything happening or any of these characters. It's just I'm waiting for Tom Cruise to kill himself doing one of these things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like James Bond. It's like Bourne. It's like a lot of spy things. I don't give a shit about the series at all. But these are still entertaining enough that like I can go in. I don't need to rewatch previous ones. I don't care about the lore or anything. They're pretty good about catching you up. Whereas like Bourne, I feel if you don't watch all of them in order, you don't know what the fuck's going on. And James Bond is just kind of like, oh, what's the mission of the week sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm always game for another Mission Impossible because they're always really well made movies. I just don't care. And because they can't get me to care, it's a B minus.
Yeah, I want to give it a B plus. I mean, I'm going to give it a B, but I want to give it a B plus because it is, in terms of action movies, it's probably one of the best franchises out there.
Yeah.
It's making big, fun summer blockbuster movies that anyone can come in and enjoy, even if this is your first one. You really don't need to know that much about the previous ones. It's easily accessible to everyone, but as a franchise, as a film, it really is the same story over again. There's a bad guy who wants to destroy the world because of this. Ethan doesn't have the resources because he's been disavowed again and has to save the world. It's very formulaic.
They talk about how he goes rogue all the time in this.
It's his thing.
And it's like he's already like rogue before he's gone rogue. And now it's like it's like double rogue on top of everything.
Where he used to be government funded IMF, and now he's just, they're just guys that we call, and they can maybe take the job.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait, we hold all of America's hopes in everything into saving the world to a guy, and maybe he'll do it.
Yeah.
I like that.
Oh, he must be huge. I bet he's like Jack Reacher type huge. No, it's 5'7" Tom Cruise, 5'6" Tom Cruise.
But in the movie world, he's at least 5'11", right? I think I was going to make another point, but it doesn't matter. B. This is a B for me.
Okay, cool.
Good summer fun.
Yeah, I still think John Wick 4 was better.
Yeah. Well, from an action standpoint, 10,000%. From a story standpoint, I wouldn't say so. I feel like it had potential to be way better, but I think it's just because it's different that you want to give him more. But like,
I care about John Wick. Like, even though his backstory is just you killed my dog after my wife died, and it's started this domino effect. I care more about that than Ethan Hunt is just America's most moral guy, and you gotta believe him. He's willing to do the thing, so he's great.
But
there's nothing
John Wick,
to him.
He's not a good actor.
No.
And he's not really a fun character. It's an interesting world, but the world is never really explained, and the rules are kind of silly if you look at them. Like, there's a lot of bad stuff that is in John Wick, but we write off because it is interesting and the action is so great.
Yeah.
And especially this last one is shot beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
Like, John Wick 4 is fucking awesome. That being said, as a movie, it's kind of dumb. But at least with this, there is some attempt at intelligence and forethought and continuity, and there's efforts across the board. Whether they all hit is another question. But I think John Wick is a more awesome movie, where Mission Impossible is a more movie, you know?
It's more movie. There was a part in Indy at the very end when Karen Allen's like, "So, you back?" And I turned to my friend, like, "Yeah, I think I'm back." It's like, I'm gonna need a whip. Oh, good time. Had by all. I'm very funny.
But it's an incendiary whip, so he's just in guys.
That top-down view of him just exploding Mayans as he's going through their cave. They're like, "Don't take our treasure!" Boom, boom. Boulders coming at him. Boom. Love it.
That'd be awesome.
So next week is Barbie and Oppenheimer. Maybe.
Barbenheimer.
We'll see. The Barbenheimer train is going. Well, actually, it's kind of screeched to a halt now that the actors are on strike. Nobody can do promotion for it, which I was so looking forward to all the Barbie late night talks. I can't see Cillian Murphy really going out and talking up Jimmy Kimmel's ear or anything, but I can see like Matt Damon or someone do it. But just seeing Margot Robbie be adorable on all these shows, and
I think in terms of the summer, the strike came at the perfect time because pretty much you did all the promotion for Barbie and Oppenheimer already. They're less than a week away.
Yeah.
You pretty much accomplished your goal. It was just the premiere stuff. Yeah. You don't need them to promote it.
And
anymore.
We'll see
Everyone's
a million commercials.
So hyped for these two movies. Yeah. So it's, I mean, we don't even know what comes out after these. This is the two big movies of the summer coming out right now. And now everything else is just, what it's going to be.
Well, we have Aquaman 2 to look forward to. We have Saw X. I mean, there is the Turtles movie. Yeah, that looks pretty great.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that. But the four main characters on that are just nobody act, and I don't mean nobody. I just mean like
they're just young
not
actors.
Recognized names.
When you tune in like who's on Jimmy Fallon and they say one of those kids' names, you're not going to know who it is. So
you're going to get Seth Rogen or whoever to promote that. Like, oh yeah, I was right in the team.
Yeah, him
and terrible impression,
and John Cena, doing stuff together.
Yeah, you have all the big celebrities promote that movie, and the kids will maybe come in here and there and. They'll do like a E-News interview or something, but no one gives
They'll do the truth or dab on Hot Ones, We got the 4 turtles and then the last dumb turtle questions. Well, it's supposed to be Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Give me an example of a dumb turtle question.
Oh, I don't know. It'd be like, how many minutes did the pizza dude have in the original?
Oh, like Ninja Turtles trivia.
Yes. Ninja Turtles trivia.
Okay. I thought you were going to be like, so what's it like being Mean Green Turtle Machine or something?
No. It'd just be asking the kid, like, who's your favorite or least favorite turtle? And they're like, I can't say that. I'll eat the hot wing. Yum, yum, yum. It'll be one of those things.
Okay.
As I was saying, it's supposed to be those. But with our schedule, we may not be able to see both. And I think we kind of need to make it a double feature episode. They came out the same day. Should be the same podcast episode. And we already had in the books, we are doing our year 2 media bracket roundup. I can't remember I think it was the year 1 media bracket. Yeah. So year 2 media bracket of all the best and worst things we have seen in our second year of doing this podcast. I was thinking about it earlier. Like, should we do this at the end of the year? It just feels so weird that we only get the first half of this year to end it, and it's the last half of last year, and it feels weird pitting movies from 2002 and 2003 against each other. I don't know why, but we do enough into the year, looking forward, looking back, stuff.
I think it's kind of, you always get all the year end stuff. And it's always just like the best stuff we saw this year. Well, like, you know what? Let's put this year up against last year.
Yeah, and it's like it's right in the middle, and it makes sense. This is for us. This is our anniversary, so it's about the things we saw. So I have the bracket pretty much ready. We got 64 wonderful picks to go through, and actually looking at them, I don't know what's going to win. When I was doing it last year, it was like, oh yeah, it's going to be the Batman. It's going to come down to like the Batman or the boys.
Better Call Saul.
Or Better Call Saul, that's what it was. This one, I'm not 100%, so I'm very kind of excited. And there wasn't as much garbage on there. There's one or two that are for sure in the running for worst thing that we have seen. But that, I remember that kind of taking a lot of time. So I don't think we can do both. And I kind of, that needs to be its own episode. We can't have, the start of year 3 tacked on. So we may just record both of them at the time if we see them, and then I'll release them.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't think there's anything else to talk about. You got anything else?
Well,
check the news. What does come out besides those two? Is there anything else coming out?
So the 21st is just they cloned Tyrone on Netflix, the Beanie Bubble on Apple TV, and Cobweb from Lionsgate.
Okay. There's a new Bird Box movie we could always talk about too. Bird Box Barcelona.
After Barbenheimer weekend, we have Haunted Mansion and Sympathy for the Devil on the 28th. And then August, we have Ninja Turtles, Meg 2, The Trench.
Have you seen Meg 1?
No.
Okay. I think you should go into Meg 2 without seeing Meg 1.
Perfect.
Meg 1 sucks. Well, I think at the end of July there's also Speak to Me. Have you seen the trailer for that? Where, like,
Yeah.
the hand thing?
It looks creepy.
Yeah. So, we'll
So
see.
yeah.
We'll see.
So August 2nd, which I guess would be early, it looks like, because I think the 4th. So anyway, I guess it would be Haunted Mansion, but we can skip that week.
And that will probably be Barbenheimer.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So Ninja Turtles at the beginning of August. Then we would do The Last Voyage of the Demeter on the 11th.
Well, don't get too far ahead, because you're going to have to just repeat this at the end of the next episode.
Well, this you can cut all this. I'm just talking to you.
Oh, okay.
Blue Beetle on the 18th. Or we can see Strays with the talking dogs.
Oh, I want to see Strays.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah.
The 25th.
Will Forte, man. Will Forte.
25th is probably nothing, probably.
Well, it'll be a double Stray episode then.
Then when we're in September, the 1st, we have The Equalizer 3.
Ooh, the Threequalizer. I gotta see Equalizer 2. I never saw that one. I hear it's bad.
The 8th, I guess, would be Poor Things. That Yorgos Lanthimos.
Oh, yeah, that weird one.
thing.
Yeah.
It's either that or the Nun 2, which I'm not seeing Nun 2.
I get it. All right, well, let's wrap it up. I gotta fucking pee.
Okay.
Okay, so that was pretty good. I think, maybe that break was good. Kept us, like, nice and tight. Tight 120. So if you want to reach out to us, we are at WRPL Podcast on Gmail, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. If you, I don't know, yada, yada, yada. Oh, yeah. What was the thing? Yeah. Is Nicole Kidman a redhead or a blonde? Like, that's ridiculous. I can't believe you actually said that.
I'm going to Google Nicole Kidman, and if
the first picture is going to be her as a redhead.
I'm going to say the first 5 photos are going to be blondes.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll find out next week and see what the answer is. As always, I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
And keep consuming.